What is this, the fifth meeting?
Yep.
Well, with great joy and mirth in my heart, do I announce the beginning of the fifth Council of Eight meeting. Today we have some special guests. We have Captain Leonardo Slacks and Captain Wyatt Turner, the LSPD. Captain Wyatt Turner is a 23 veteran of the police force and is currently extending his tour of duty into the island of chaos that is Los Santos. We have Leonardo Slacks, a young, bright, up-and-coming captain, trying his best to make sense of this landscape. And we have Cletus Cornwood, who will be taking notes for me today, as he is part of my legal counsel.
Okay.
First and foremost,
Why?
let's welcome our new chief of staff, Siobhan Thoroughbred, my wife.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hi. I just want to say that I'm really I'm excited to fulfill the role and will carry out the mayor's goals on a day-to-day basis, acting as an evangelist for the mayor's principles to the best of my ability. I believed in Max and what he's trying to do for Los Santos since the first moment I heard him speak back at the end of December at the debate, and I am humbled and grateful for this opportunity and look forward to working with you all collaboratively. And on the note, I just want to say I think some of us may have gotten off on the wrong foot, and I want to be clear that I have, always thought is what is good for the city and the state. I don't care about personal gain. If I did, I would not have been a judge. And I think Crane can attest to the fact that I don't really have an ego, and it's about what's best for the city. And I will always put the best interest of the city first. You have my promise and my word.
Who slipped me moonshine?
Not me. Oh. When it was me. It was me. It was like a week ago or some shit.
No. What?
Oh, well, you've received additional moonshine.
Wait, there's some on the floor
I'm
here
so
right now.
confused.
Yeah, there are moonshine bottles on the floor. I did not want to pick it up and be in a possession of it. But
Yeah, that would be illegal.
I did not pick it up, and somehow someone slipped in my pocket.
There's a bottle next to every chair right now, guys.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's what I noticed as well. I presume because of to set the tone for the meeting that we're about to be walking into here.
Interesting. Okay.
Would you like those confiscated?
Yeah. I don't want to. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Let's go around.
Considering
and grab
I'm
those
fucking
here.
sober, this is kind of an insult. Whoever did that shit.
Oh, that's terrible.
Mr. Mayor, can you step to the side just a little bit? Can't pick this one up. You able to pick that one up?
Don't. He's gonna get your DNA. Sorry.
No, I got it. Boom.
Appreciate
Look
it.
at this one. Let's hear.
Yeah, I'll grab this one too as well.
Thank you.
All right. Does anyone have any legislation or ideas to propose today?
I got a couple things, but
I'll be honest. I think we should straight up jump into the hot topic issue while we have our
yeah, I was
guests
gonna
here.
agree with Malton.
Yeah.
Oh, why?
Because I don't know if they
Everyone
want to
here?
sit here and listen to everything else we're gonna talk about.
Oh, oh, right. We wouldn't want to keep them away from patrol.
Yeah.
Okay. I prepared a little speech because this is an important topic with quite a bit of facets to it. I urge you to listen to me. It's a bit lengthy, not too long. Just kind of reflecting on my experiences in the last week or so. Give me a moment. Everyone ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. The island is on fire, and after the verdict from Mr. K last night, even more gas has been poured on it. The resulting flames will be the perfect backdrop for this incomplete and
I already-
incompetent police department. Their vision of the 3 pillars has failed. Their own police officers that I have taken the time to speak to personally, are too afraid of reprimand from their superiors to even adequately do their job. They fear reprimand from their superiors for speaking to me, the elected mayor, without permission. A majority of officers I have spoken to feel that they have been ill-equipped to prepare the next generation of police officers to bring order to this inherently chaotic place. They have had 2 months to flesh out even a semblance of a suitable chain of command. They have chosen instead to greedily bottleneck any semblance of power and responsibility while simultaneously, irresponsibly going MIA at some of the most pivotal moments of their development, leaving their subordinates to pick up the pieces without giving them the tools to do so. When I confronted these LSPD captains with myriad issues last night, I was met with an exceptionally defensive and utterly pathetic attempt at gaslighting. They assured me that they were working in earnest to produce, from the bottom up, a police department of integrity and accountability. The results of this combined effort have been clear to see. Just last night and many nights, as reported to me, the police response on the island has been near non-existent. I myself have gone down to MRPD last night to investigate and found both gates to their motor pool unlocked and wide open for just about anyone to waltz in. I reported on 311. The customer service-esque "thank you, we'll get right on that" I received was more akin to something a waiter might say if I were sending my food back. Fortunately for all 3 of these LSPD captains, one of their cadets was lingering about close to the gate for them. I was curious. I asked this cadet to let the chief of staff and I into the building so that I could see what the police presence was like for shift 3 at MRPD. The halls were empty, eerily silent as the 3 of us walked through the maze-like hallways to find where the 4 blips identified by this officer might be lingering in MRPD. I wanted to see who they were and what they were doing. The island's on fire, so certainly these individuals were doing something to put that fire out. After 5 minutes of wandering, the cadet led us all the way to the top floor of MRPD, an eerie, liminal space. He pushed open the double doors and I briefly caught a glimpse of all 3 LSPD captains huddled in a circle. I ushered the cadet in question along and insisted that we be shown out. I suspected that they might get in trouble for showing the chief of staff and I around the building, considering the volatile conversation I'd had with the 3 captains earlier that night. The cadet showed us out of the building, with none of the captains even peeking their head out of the storage closet they were meeting in to see who might be wandering around their headquarters. On the way out, I asked the cadet, "What's your general feel for policing on the island these days?" Very hesitantly, as though he knew he'd be punished for admitting it, he said, "Oh, well, I don't know. It's just hard to get out there knowing I might get in trouble for trying to do my job." With the 3 pillars of the LSPD working so desperately to ensure that training comes first and foremost prior to actually establishing a palpable chain of command, why is it that this random cadet would utter such a thing to me? The environment fostered by these 3 LSPD captains is poisonous. It has become increasingly clear to me that they have no true intention of fleshing out their chain of command in any meaningful or speedy manner, given that one Captain Turner claimed it would take 3 additional months to have anything remotely resembling such when I asked them last night.
You know, I'm all for America.
Get out of here now.
Yep, all right.
We're going to take a little pause.
You know, we pay our taxes. Why can't we witness this?
Jesus.
Leave, Bobby.
Of course, it's Vivek.
They're busy. I'm not kidding around. Mayor Max has stuff to do, right?
Thank you, Crane.
We could have just rushed in there, Vivek. Leave, Bobby, leave.
Chief Justice, if you want to talk to him, I can talk to him outside too as well.
They don't speak English.
Once again, Captain Wyatt Turner claimed to me after inquiry last night that it would take 3 additional months to have anything remotely resembling a chain of command. They did, however, take the time to write out a very nice little document that, in the very first paragraph, outlines the very simple fact that they themselves believe that they are the only ones possibly qualified to become chief of police, or in this case, commissioner. I was sent this by Leonardo Slacks after I allowed him to see what I've been working on in the realm of this act. Why is this the first thing I was shown after it became clear to Captain Leonardo Slacks that I was keen on investigating why it has taken so long to have an actual cohesive police force on this island? Why is it that when I suggested the process by which they handled discipline points, the reaction was to be defensive or to feign ignorance on just how ridiculous it was that they were the only ones who can issue these points and that they are the final decision on whether or not a police officer gets to keep their job? Okay, pausing.
I think you should run with him, Vivek. You and Ronald.
Did your parents not hug you enough? Why the fuck do you need so much attention that you feel the need to scream in the hallway when people are having a meeting? Fuck off, you incompetent asshole.
I love when Crane gets angry.
Hmm.
Same.
That was great.
On that we can
Same.
agree. Why have we gone several nights without any meaningful police presence on the island? How many shifts have been relegated to ghost towns courtesy of this flagrant incompetence and utterly pathetic attempt at power consolidation? Why was I first on scene after a man was beaten and kidnapped from City Hall 2 nights ago? Why is it that every time I hold a town hall, the people I represent beg me to give them firearms so that they can defend themselves attempting to do honest, legal work in Los Santos? Why do they tell me that their 311s and 911s go unanswered most of the time? Why is it taking so long for you two to do something I know could be done in half the time by actual qualified professionals? I've had enough of your floundering, and so have the people of Los Santos. When I made this known to the captains last night, Captain Ruth suggested voting by the LSPD to seize power from the Council of 8 and to effectively usurp the responsibility bestowed upon us by the state. The responsibility that half of the population of Los Santos placed in my hands. So pressed was she by the prospect of having any amount of oversight whatsoever, treason was the first thing that she suggested. Right in my presence, in my office, in this building, in front of my wife and I. And most importantly, in front of 2 other LSPD captains who did not so much as lift a single finger or make a single peep when she said those words.
What words did she say?
Captains, you remember?
Yeah, I can read it for you. Out loud. I mean,
Please.
there's a PD
Please.
announcement about this.
Yeah, there should be. I'm sure your subordinates want to know why you didn't do shit about it.
Because I didn't believe treason happened, Mayor. That's why.
Yeah,
Captain
of course
Ruth
not.
proposed a hypothetical question that if the city council can just vote and say they're above the PD, can the captain just vote and say they're above the city council? That was the question that was proposed.
She said, and I quote, "What if we just vote to take power from the council?" In response to my inquiry about their accountability and their responsibility to this island.
That sounds like she's posing a hypothetical to.
Well, first
She
of all,
was
Cantor, it's
trying
called
to prepare
First of all, it was so far off base that even if that's what she was trying to do, her lack of understanding about how basic government functions in our island is disgusting. She suggesting for a moment that that is the same thing as the Council of 8 is ridiculous because all of us have checks and balances. All of you can vote to impeach me. All of you, some of you are not elected officials. You can be fired and replaced. Okay? What sort of anything stands for them in that same capacity? And once again,
Yeah.
it's hyperbole, not hypotheticals.
So she said this out loud?
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
I was there. She definitely said that. She also said the PD was their own branch of government. So that, like, you know what I mean? So,
I mean, thank God we're all protected by the third part of the Bill of Human Privilege, freedom of speech, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't even get me started on Unicode. Yeah, I'm glad that your
not when it
captains.
conflicts with the penal code.
I'm glad
No,
that your
go for
captains
it.
are.
We got you here.
I'm glad that your captains are here, Nakota, because every single time I've tried to breach any sort of actual subject for you from the PD, you've said, "Oh, well, I don't know if I could speak on that. I don't know if I could speak on the behalf of the captains." What's your fucking job at that point? What are you here to accomplish other than to push the agenda that these motherfuckers are trying to have you push?
You mean the PD agenda?
The captain agenda. If this was the PD agenda, you would have mentioned a single time the plight that you and your fellow officers are currently experiencing.
What,
Well, why
what
don't you
is
tell
our
him,
plate,
Dakota?
Mayor? Yeah, what is
Yeah,
our plate, Mr.
But
Mayor,
Mayor,
that
do
you
you
know
really
so
think
much
this is the
about?
captain's agenda when in reality it's the PD agenda? Go ahead, Nakota. Tell him exactly what's going on.
Well, I just want
Please.
I want to hear what the biggest issues facing the PD are from you.
Can we
Mr.
hold
Mayor,
on?
since
Can
you've
we
talked
can we
to so many
pause for a
people.
second? I just want to one thing at a time because we've been through so many topics. My head's spinning.
Okay, let me finish my speech. I've only got a couple paragraphs left, and actually, it's pretty appropriate to what just happened. The combative and disrespectful tittering from Captain Turner and Captain Ruth, as well as the willful and weaponized ignorance demonstrated by Captain Leonardo Slacks last night, was both disheartening and eye-opening. Instead of attempting to justify in any palpable means why it has taken them so long to put out more than 2 police officers every night on the street, or why it has taken 2 months to convince themselves that they are able to trust men and women who put their lives on the line and to sacrifice their time and effort to train this next generation of police officers enough to give them the ability to push a warrant without captain approval, they were defensive. They asked me, well, what would you do? And when I attempted to explain as much, they were convinced that their way, which has been demonstrably proven to be wrong, has failed. And so any ideas I or others had to the contrary must surely also be wrong. They were more concerned with attempting to poke holes in any flag-bearing olive branch I had to extend in some sad bid to justify their presently sloth-like police department. They were more concerned with having to answer to me or to anybody. They are not interested in cooperating with the mayor's office or the council unless it benefits them wholly and utterly. The LSPD claims to care about the people of Los Santos, about us, about whoever. Why is it then, when faced with the smallest bit of scrutiny from its mayor, an official whom represents the majority of the people of Los Santos in their best interests, they cannot fathom that they might have been in the wrong in their methods or that they could use a little bit of help? End.
Okay. So I want to address a couple things because I think historically I've tried to serve as a mediator in this jurisdiction, and I will try to do so today. First off, I think there's a general confusion, especially based on what the mayor here has relayed from what Ruth said. The mayor, yes, is the elected will of the people. And as such, he represents the will of the state. However, much like myself and Miss Hawthorne and many others in this room, namely pretty much everyone on the council, that authority or will of the people is not limitless. The idea that the legislation discussed focuses on is more so the authority of the mayor to investigate what is going on in the jurisdiction that he is elected to oversee and to relay said information to the appropriate parties and do as he sees fit based on authorization therefrom. This is not a authoritarian regime where he is going to forcibly take over the PD,
Certainly
fire
not.
people, and do
Certainly
a
not.
bunch of crazy shit.
Firing people is the furthest thing on my mind right now. Even you fucks.
And I can, Mr. Mayor,
Okay,
please
can
just
we
let me get
not
through.
Mayor, with all due
What is
respect, I
this?
mean, I'm
Thanks.
not going to sit here and take disrespect. I'll
Okay,
walk
just
out of here.
everybody cool it down. Okay. So, as I discussed with you gentlemen out in the hallway, this is not something that is of his own creation spawned from nothingness. This council that I helped to design is meant to establish the will of the people. Oftentimes, I found myself, 5-6 years ago, overwhelmed trying to cater to everyone's needs from every walk of life. And part of the reason for this council existing is that I felt it were more appropriate for different walks of life to be represented through different conduits, such as the healthcare field, the law enforcement field, the legal field, and then the citizenry, whether that be the deputy mayor, the mayor, whatever. Now, the treasurer and I, and in some ways the head of the bar association, are meant to be sort of the anchor by which this council operates. Now, when I look at things, you need to trust me, Slacks, Turner, everyone, that I'm doing so in the best interest of this state. I helped Max conceive of many of the ideas in this document. This is not something that's coming out of left field. We, as a council, have been approached by many people from PD, both on our own, as groups, randomly. Hell, I've been sitting in the lobby of MRPD and I've had people say shit to me about how PD's going. Now, this doesn't mean that I believe them 1000%, nor do I think Max does. Part of the conversation we had is that the first step of any of this, and potentially even the penultimate step, will solely be to assemble an investigative panel, which, spoiler alert, my picks were Willie Glory, a former police lieutenant, now judge, and Lance Malton, a former police high command member and now head of the Bar Association, who is beyond fucking, reproach. And to have them, both experienced members of PD, known commodities, okay, to many of your more experienced officers, to go in there and see what's going on. Because I don't trust random people bitching to me.
Same.
And Max doesn't either. So look, I'm going to not apologize for another grown man and his proclivities. You may notice that I actually have shoes on, okay? I'm not wearing skinny jeans with my fucking, pinky toes out in a city council meeting, but I'm not the mayor, am I? I'm the chief justice. And I'm not going to apologize for the mayor or explain what he does. What I will tell you is that I will vouch for his integrity in this issue. You have my word that he is only trying to do what's best for the city. Now, do I agree with his exact methodology? No. I do not think that fire and brimstone preaching from the pulpit is a good way to accomplish and engender people to your cause. But to be fair, from the comments that he has relayed, it doesn't seem like everyone on your side necessarily handled themselves perfectly either. Hypotheticals or not, that's kind of a dumb fucking statement to make, because perfectly honestly,
screenshot in Discord.
we all answer to the state. We all answer to a government higher than us. And to suggest somehow that we're just in here willy-nilly making shit up as we go is fucking ridiculous. And it betrays all the effort and investment that I've put into, fucking creating this whole fucking council, to suggest that we're just up here giving ourselves whatever power we deem necessary. You, Slacks, and you, Turn, know as well as anyone that if one day the federal government or the state above us wakes up and decides Alan Crane's a piece of shit and he's gone, I'm gone. Okay? Right. So there's no fucking weird discussion about who's the ultimate power, who's taking power from who. The end result is we're all trying to do our fucking jobs. Sorry, I'm fire and brimstone.
No, I love hearing you speak. Please continue.
So all I'm trying to say is, I'm glad Max got his shit out of his system. I hope in the future he can, visit a Men's Warehouse and get some slip-ons at least.
We'll see.
It's not our to-do list.
I believe that it is perfectly reasonable, and I will tell you this, especially given the fact that Etta over here, by the way, the treasurer, who I trust completely, is in my ear every other day advocating for you two to give you more money and more budgetary expenditures and more cars and more toys and more things that you need to do your jobs better. And those things go hand in hand with what Max wants, which I'm guessing is not to be bitched at by every cop that sees him walk into MRPD about the squabbles that are going on internally with how things are functioning.
Amen.
So I think we can all work together here, because guess what? If the investigative body decides that, hey, maybe this tiny thing could be improved, or maybe this could be looked at, or maybe this could be worked on, maybe those could be incentives that could allow us to create budgetary incentives and optimization incentives for the PD that, could grant you the fucking car trucks and the turbos for your cars and the upgrades and, FTO incentives and all these things. But right now, if we're going to sit here and have a pissing match, then nobody gets anything. And I think that's fucking dumb.
That's exactly my thought process, right?
Okay.
I want to work with people, but respect goes a long way.
So let me just
Agreed.
open up the legislation. Let's not talk about what we've heard. Let's not talk about how some person interpreted this.
Can we get a copy of the current?
Yeah.
I have a feeling we're going to be updating it right now. So
I'm gonna lay out what I think is the core of this, okay? Because a lot of this, I'm gonna be honest with you, and you know this. Well, some people know this about me. I don't like a lot of the fluff in a lot of the legislation. I think a lot of it is just pontificating and grandstanding. To be honest, the core of this to me is the examples of the powers the mayor's office reserves. And by the way, it also bookends on both sides of this that the state has the ultimate authority here, state supremacy. Even says state supremacy. This document assures and reiterates as well state supremacy on matters of law to form departments within the state, acting as the ultimate arbiter of decision making. So, yes, the mayor's office is an agent of the state, just like the PD is, but you guys have a mutual, boss. He's not over you in such a way that he's like your direct boss. He's going to tell you exactly what to do. It's more so he's an emissary of the state investigating for the state and then acting as appropriately when authorized. So, for example, this says examples of powers: initiation of commissioner selection and definition of the role. The mayor or deputy mayor will collect names submitted by the LSPD in order to submit them to the state. He's literally asking to be a messenger. That's not a far-reaching ask, by the way. Second point, the formation of other law enforcement departments. As the need arises, coverage is important. Key point, as the need arises. It may not need right now. The investigation may result that the need may be emergent in the future, or there should be a plan created for a rollout that is set in stone or a timeline. It doesn't mean we're just going to pop up a fucking sheriff's office tomorrow. Third, directly refer any emergent personnel issues to the head of the Bar Association for Civilian Oversight Board. This is something I worked with Max on, because I came to him and I said, hey, we got this whole idea about investigating what's going on with PD and sending in this, investigative body to sort of get us the answers. But we already know how we want to handle personnel issues, and that's the Civilian Oversight Board. So we just worked that in. So they're in combo now. So the reason why we haven't pushed Civilian Oversight Board into legislation yet is because it should go as in tandem. The Civilian Oversight Board should be created so that as this investigative panel discovers issues that may be occurring, they can be referred directly to Malton, because guess what? Malton's on the panel. And then he can go ahead and assemble the Civilian Oversight Board, which the elections will run in the next week or so, assuming this legislation in some form gets passed. And it says it should be the mayor's office's goal to ensure that the law enforcement departments are given the tools to succeed. It says that every law enforcement officer is afforded the opportunity to succeed so long as they're passionate about their job and committed to active law enforcement. So there's been some contention about that one. I'm going to not speak for Max, but instead I'll pose a question as a way to not make this confrontational.
Sure.
Max, the cynical worry when reading this sentence could mean that you are stating that you will completely throw out any disciplinary action, wrongdoing, violation of SOPs, and simply say, well, if you got a good attitude and you're passionate about being a cop, then you should be a cop still. Is that accurate, Max?
No. And let me be clear. It was never going to be my intention to go in and be like, hey, these discipline points, don't know about that. Don't know about this indefinite suspension. He's hired again, blah, blah, blah. I literally won't be doing that. It's more about establishing the chain of command so that you guys are not judge, jury, and executioner.
And how would you fix that with an active chain of command? What would you do in a way to where you'd allow something like that to flourish?
What I would do is I would make sure you had a boss first and foremost, a commissioner,
Judge, Judy, and executioner.
Chief of police, anyone that could look at your handed out discipline points and think, hey, maybe these guys shouldn't be the ones to review whether or not their decision to hand out discipline points was correct or not.
What if the chief of police is the one issuing DAP points and signing off on it, and you don't agree with it? What happens then?
Should not be doing that.
Yeah, he just doesn't do it.
So one thing I've talked to Max about, sorry, Max, in terms of the DOJ, we had a long conversation about DOJ training and our structure. And one of the things that I imparted to him was that you don't see me taking a lot of basic cases anymore, right? I'm not sitting here doing every single appeal, every single trial. The reason for that being is I have judges that I delegate to do these cases. Then, when their judgment is questioned, mine is in reserve. So the same would function with a chief, for example. The chief's job, in my eyes, at least the way I understand police departments, I could be wrong, is not to go out with the rank and file every day and be like, hey, Jimmy, you shot that guy twice in the back, and then he dropped the knife and you shot him a third time, Jimmy. That's 4 DAT points because that was a use of force excessive. No, the chief's job should be at a macro level, taking care of the department. And then when decisions are made by the rank and file all the way up to him, your chain of command, the chief should be the ultimate say-so when someone needs an answer. So, for example, this Gregory Johnson guy has been yelling at anyone who will listen about how he was wrong. He made a fucking rap song. He's come to City Hall. He's screamed at Max, I'm sure. He's yelled at me. He's been all over everywhere. But right now, his recourse or his ultimate answer comes from the same people that made the decision in the first place. So effectively, as someone who's in his position, he's left with, okay, I can just try to keep convincing the people that already decided I should be fired, or I just kind of give up. And in my opinion, it's the same thing with justice system. Why the fuck would there be an appeal from one judge to another that are all the same rank, that all handle basic cases? The reason I've said we don't do that is because then you're just supplanting one person's opinion for another that are of equal merit. Or you're asking the judge to go back on their own decision. That's why we have a chief justice, so that someone can go, you know what, I think I was treated unfairly. And they get an opportunity to bring in front of somebody else. And if that doesn't work out, well, then they got their answer.
I'm just confused. What do people have an issue with when a boss or somebody else comes in and removes somebody for lying or integrity, falsifying evidence?
No one slacks. No one is well, let me rephrase this. The issue is not the substantive action that has occurred. The issue is that procedurally, the substantive action is being reviewed by the same people that made the action in the first place. It would be like if I did a court case and someone's only chance to appeal was to say, hey, Crane, you ruled on my court case. I'm appealing. I think you got it wrong. What do you think? Do you see how awkward and strange that is?
I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. You're saying the people that are firing these folks shouldn't be the folks also, reviewing this kind of punishment, because how are you supposed to get a true assessment of what's going on?
Well, how are you supposed to second guess yourself?
Right,
is the whole point. There should be someone disconnected, whether it's
is why we propose
a commissioner. Correct. Right? We're on the same page there, which is why I'm saying I don't think anything here is novel or different. I just think y'all are having communication problems. Which, welcome to fucking Los Santos, everybody. I mean,
my attempt to communicate with them, Crane, last night was a treason joke and defensive tittering. That's what I had to deal with last night.
Okay, Mayor, did you look yourself in the mirror though while talking to us? Because we came in there and you shouted not once, not twice, but 3 times, and you kept raising your voice every single time. I mean, I try to talk to you. I try to be very calm. I get your frustration, and some of the problems we agreed on. We agreed on retention. We agreed about burnouts. We agreed about coverage. We agreed about units. We see these problems.
We didn't agree about shit, Leonardo.
Yes, we did. But you're not willing to listen to us because you were so angry about the problem, and I get that.
No,
you're passionate about what you're doing.
No.
I'm telling you.
I explained to you the problems that I had witnessed in speaking to all these cops. You explained why you thought it was a problem and why it was happening. And you guys, when I suggested for a moment that I be there to potentially have professionals advise you guys on what you could be doing better, you got defensive. Okay, we didn't agree on shit last night.
Okay, can we?
We asked questions. What the
can we pause?
Were.
Can we pause? Look, I hate to be a broken record here, but I literally, the final thing I just said was this is a communication issue. And now you two are sitting here across the table telling each other how the conversation occurred and saying you're wrong. And the other person saying, no, you're wrong. Hence communication issue. So
one of our jobs, okay, there's a difference between my job and their job, obviously, is that I was elected by people because I talked and listened to them. These fucks were picked by the state.
Please stop.
Correct.
One of
name-calling.
us is better at
Max,
listening and
how the
talking
hell
to
are
people.
we meant to vote for this when you were going to oversee them, when you were unwilling to speak to them or even show them the basic decency of talking about them?
They don't
as if
deserve
have
decency, Cantor. They threatened treason in
That's
City
your
Hall
problem.
last night.
Okay,
That's your problem.
pause.
For the love of God.
Second point, they didn't threaten treason. Okay, what occurred was a shitty quip. Okay, I've dealt with treason, Max. I've dealt with people actually trying to overthrow the fucking state several times now, actually.
So what part of an LSPD captain making this quip in quotes in response to being subjected to even a semblance of responsibility and accountability is not treason? They have the guns, they have the cars, they have the weapons, they have everything.
It's immaturity and idiocy. And
It's
I think
unprofessional.
it's unprofessional, it was
That's
immature, and it
rich.
was stupid.
That's
Okay.
rich.
No one, Miss Treasure, no one is claiming that somehow there is an isolated sense of someone being professional and someone not being professional because one person is being called it. I'm simply trying to just get through this muck and mire and get to something productive, because right now we're still on the
Talking in
fucking
circles.
he
This is a
said
guild
she
meeting.
said.
Okay, all right. Captain Turner, Captain Slacks, I apologize. Clearly I did not understand that Brooke Ruth, world-renowned comedian, was just trying to make a joke about overthrowing the government. I look forward in this capacity to working with you guys. I'm always here. You can call me whenever you want.
Mayor, and I'll have Captain Root come down here and apologize for her behavior as well. It was unprofessional. I do agree with that.
Okay. Deal.
Thank you.
Ask a productive question here. I spitballed a lot of thoughts in there. I feel my most important ones were in bold. I have yet to get a clear-cut answer that I'm hoping the captains can give me, or Crane, or the mayor, because we asked this last week. I know what this bill is proposing. You know, I could see what it's going to potentially do, but if it's shot down, what is our system currently? Does the PD just answer to the state? Is it are they meant to work hand in hand with the council via political consequences, shall we say? What is the current status quo when it comes to the government chain of command and the police department?
We answer to the same master at the end of the day in the state government or federal government, depending on how you interpret the way our jurisdiction works. What is key to understand here is that it is very clear, based on the setup of the city council of 8, that the funds that pay everyone's salaries in this room, looks around, yep, every single person in this room, from the head of the clerks to the captains over there, to every member on the council, and to Cletus Cornwood, who is a bar-certified attorney drawing a paycheck from the government. All of our money comes from taxes. We are paid directly from the state account. The city council is the arbiter of state funds. Hello, Madam Treasurer. Our job is to decide how to allocate those funds. Now, we have some guidance from above, from the state government, as has been seen previously, where there have been requests for things like EMS Life Flight and Air One and different things for PD, K9 units and motor units and all these things. And what I'm telling you right now is that everyone needs to work together, because guess what? If you guys need things and you need assistance from the council, which, by the way, you do, then it is in everyone's best interest to work together. And I assure you that this legislation is not without the ability to be repealed immediately. In fact, Max and I have already had conversations that this legislation is solely due to the fact that we are an emergent state. This legislation may not even exist in future mayoral terms. This legislation is right now. You guys are
That's
growing,
something
we're
I've been
growing, and
trying to
everyone's
tell
trying to
people too.
figure shit out. So to Malton's point, this is a collaborative effort in which the PD will allow, by way of good faith, the mayor's office and the council of 8 to do their jobs. Now, we're not going to sit here and pretend that we couldn't just pass this legislation, bitch and moan to the state, and say, let us do what we want, PD or, being obstructionists and blah, blah, blah. We could do that, but that's stupid. It serves no one. So we are trying to have productive conversations that we can agree on so this can move forward positively and productively. Does that answer that, Lance?
Yes.
Okay.
I think going back to my point, I'm all for oversight within the police department. I'm all for checks and balances that adhere to, good police department that has the best interests of the city, right? Not the best interests of people in charge. I totally understand that. I'm all for it. The problem I have with it, go ahead.
Go ahead.
The problem I have with it is just making sure the people in position have good faith and making sure the PD does prosper and grow. And that's just my fear. That's all. Because absolute power can corrupt.
I assure you that if the mayor does anything untoward or acts out of
I'm
line,
getting impeached.
He will be fucking impeached. It's very simple.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've noticed.
I told you that last
I don't know
night.
if you've noticed, Slacks, but do some basic math here, right? Miss Treasurer, Miss Healthcare Liaison, Mr. Head of the Bar, again, beyond reproach, and Mr. PD Liaison and Mr. Chief Justice. How many people is that, Slacks?
5.
That's 5.
That's majority.
Okay, so just so we're clear, there are checks and balances here. The mayor cannot just fly off at the handle and do whatever the fuck he pleases. Also, there's an ultimate check, by the way, because the very legislation that he wrote refers to state supremacy. And we just got done discussing the fact that he has a boss just like any of us, even though he is the mayor.
Any reference to the state is for our higher-ups.
Well, it's the state in general.
Office.
We are an agent of the state. The mayor is an agent of the state, but he has a boss just like everyone.
An agent of the state, and not
okay.
the state.
But it's the same thing. If you say I work for the police department, I am the police, you could be a rank and file officer or a captain or the chief. You're still the police.
Now, Chief Justice, can we get a copy of what you guys are talking about? Because I still have not seen it.
You have seen it.
No, I've seen the
We'd like to see the current version.
Yeah, the current version.
Okay, hold on. I'll send you guys a picture. Hang on.
I appreciate that.
I can just. Well, why don't we just do this? Why don't I just create a report for them and they can just see it?
That would be
like do a high command report.
Yeah.
The next question I had in regards to this that I've broached to various parties, shall we say? This is the pill question, basically. As I understand it, I see the argument here. We used to work under the Senate system that has
under high command report
that has morphed to like a quasi state and council of 8 system. I would like to hear everyone's thoughts as to why this should rest with the mayor's office potentially, as opposed to the council as a whole. Does this process get slowed down that much by the council defining what the commissioner role is, the council discussing this, or the council referring to the head of bar for personnel issues?
In my personal opinion, I don't think there's any benefit because the way I read this and the way I understand it, and again, well, Lance, you were there for part of that meeting as well.
Yes.
The way I read and understand this legislation is that for the most part, and forgive me, Mr. Mayor, this is not meant to be diminutive, just accurate.
Yep.
Most of this is the mayor being I guess I would call it like a clerk for the state. He's essentially gathering information, delivering information, gathering nominations, delivering nominations, and all of this is delivered to someone above him for decision making in conjunction with himself. It is not something where He is just autonomous, and therefore I don't really know what value would be added by the council, including myself, by the way, being a part of that information gathering process. I think the council should be a part of forming what this legislation should do and how it should function. But the actual act of carrying out the information gathering and the dissemination and all that, I don't see why there needs to be 8 people in a meeting when there could be 3. I don't, you know.
But it's pretty clear that. Well, actually, hold on. No, never mind. Never mind. Please continue. You have any other questions, Bond?
This is a bit of wordplay. I mean, like I said, you could call the rule whatever the fuck you want, and it could have whatever powers we want. But you know, when people traditionally think of commissioner, they think as you know, top of the PD hierarchy and in charge of all departments. But there is only one currently. At the end of the day, is this essentially just appointing like a or assisting the state, if, you know, if we're going to use Crane's terminology, in appointing a chief of police?
Yeah. Yes.
You know how we brought in Miss Wright, Malton, or anyone else who remembers?
Yep.
Yeah.
How myself and the government brought in Miss Wright to help formulate the city council.
Right.
Yeah, that was done because the state needed a conduit, okay, to assist me, kind of like a rubber ducky theory, right? You know, bounce ideas off people. You hear
Wish
yourself
Kiva
talk.
played Miss Wright more.
It's not necessarily because Max is like, you know, the end all be all of PD bureaucracy. It's because he's a person who has the authority to handle the communication and assembly of information. And he's a third party distinct from the PD, which allows him to attempt to be somewhat objective. And if his objectivity comes into question, that's why he has to report it to superiors. That's why the decision is not coming from him directly. I'm struggling to make this any more clear. I feel like the whole purpose here is you get a third party individual who comes in like a fixer and says, hey, you're too lost in the sauce of your own department to really see things for how they may truly be. And although it is tough sometimes, you need someone else to come in and tell you, hey, you know, this is going on or that's going on. And, you know, I do this all the time in the DOJ. There's a reason why we have open discussion, is because sometimes you need to be challenged and your ideas need to be, you know, fully articulated. You need to be forced to put your ideas to paper and prove your theories, because sometimes your assumptions don't pan out. And all this is just an exploratory function to see if things are panning out the way they should be. And guess what? I think one thing everyone here is missing, including the captains, is that, and Max, correct me if I'm wrong, it is a very real possibility that he does all this exploratory investigation, he goes through, and he finds out that the people who are complaining to him are being hyperbolic.
I gotta make sure
they were misrepresenting information, and things are actually going well. That's a distinct possibility.
I plan on doing an investigation, right? And I plan on having experts, as the Chief Justice said, go in and do the brunt of that work. So one way or the other,
just gotta make sure I've got everything set for today.
And yeah, he's right. It very well could end up that way. I mean,
and by the way,
the stars could have aligned.
Yeah, and that's a total possibility. I just thought about also when it comes to like the Civilian Oversight Board. I thought that was gonna be the way of the public applying the pressure as far as the PD.
We discussed this, Lex. The Civilian Oversight Board is meant to handle distinct disputes and articulated incidents on an individual basis. So Malton's purview is to assemble a group of civilians, again, an objective third party, who can look at a dispute between civilian A and cop B, or cop A and cop B, or vice versa, or whatever, bring them in, investigate by, you know, interviewing them, getting evidence, getting reports, and then coming to a decision. The Civilian Oversight Board is not meant to evaluate a bureaucracy.
If I could sum it up, and maybe I'm dumbing it down a little bit too much, but would it be fair to say that the Civilian Oversight Board is intended to be reactive, while this
Correct.
legislation or this this commissioner or whatever is intended to be proactive.
Very, very well put.
I see.
Okay, so I guess I'll address the elephant in the room. The fact that the wording on this has changed pretty drastically.
In real time.
What do you mean? What? Pardon?
It's a state.
Hello?
The third bullet point. I have a copy here. When I was reading it, where it said initiation of the audit of certain law enforcement officers after receiving several reports about their conduct in order to determine whether or not corruption, unfair internal gatekeeping.
Yeah, that was
or
before
misconduct
Max
in
and I had a
general
conversation
has
about the role of
transpired.
the Civilian Oversight Board.
That was 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Are you guys really that out of touch with your jobs that you can't fucking check the reports at least
Max,
once a day?
This is one copy that I still have, Max.
Yeah, okay.
I did not.
Okay, look, my bad. Look, I thought it was our responsibility to keep abreast of everything.
I have read it all, but I have not copied it all down. I'm sorry, I didn't think to do
look,
that.
Obviously, this is a very important subject because I was told that right away this is something we had to speak about. Okay, and if this is something you guys are truly passionate about and being involved in, then you would have had the facts 100%. You would have checked the report again. Anything.
Is they
okay?
referring to Cornwood? No.
Why not? Why not?
Max.
He's a little pipsqueak, dude.
We should make him wear shoes.
None of this is productive.
So initial concerns and whatnot are pertaining to those initial wording. Because that just shows me what the actual intentions are. And then
Well, hold on. Before you continue, what are the actual intentions, Etta?
You wanted control. You wanted to
Control
be
of what?
able to-
Control of what?
The PD.
Okay, so this third bullet point in particular speaks about what, Etta? Off the top of your head.
It gave the power to the mayor's office.
To do. You checking your notes right now?
I'm just stating the wording.
That was the rough draft, the initial wording. Initially, I thought it was a good idea for the mayor's office to be the only ones that actually handled auditing of police officers that were conducting themselves in a way that was not conducive to an actual healthy environment for police officers to be able to do their job.
My whole point is, why is this even necessary? Why didn't we just bring in the captains like we have right now?
Yeah,
and
why have
sat
we not
down
spoken with them?
and had this conversation before we even had to write up this legislation
Turner-
to get this whole, hornet's nest stirred up?
Turner, I know you've had a leave of absence recently. How long were you on LOA?
Roughly 14 days.
14 days. Okay.
Really?
I've tried to speak with Slacks, and fortunately I did. I met Ruth for the first time last night. It felt like the stars aligned when I was able to get all three of them in a room. Regardless, I did.
What is the yelled at them and accuse them of treason?
Excuse
how you
me?
spent that meeting?
Are you? What is
Is
this
that not
coming-
what happened?
They did. She suggested it. It came from her mouth.
Hyperbole, right? Remember.
Yeah, you said it.
Yeah, I said it, and because I was trying, just like I was when I tried. Shut the. Listen, I was extending an olive branch to them last night when I invited them to speak with me in my office. Okay. All right. And in being met with any semblance of, hey, maybe you need some help. Hey, maybe this isn't working. Captain Roos' first instinct was to make a joke about overthrowing the government. Okay, so don't turn this on me. I was trying to conduct.
I don't
myself.
care about that
That was
joke,
not.
but
That was
since
not
we
our
have
first
them
instinct.
here,
Come
I'd
on,
be happy
Mayor.
to hear their opinion.
That is unfair to say that happened in that conversation. We want to work with you. We do. I want to work with you. I believe in you, right? But at the same time, it doesn't feel good when you're shouting back at us when we're trying to talk to you.
It doesn't feel good when you are just look. It doesn't matter. Okay, it was last night.
No. This is productive. We're
Yeah.
using feeling words.
Okay, all right. What isn't productive?
I hate it, dude.
Is last night.
No, not objective. Feeling words.
I don't want to use feeling words.
Oh, I don't use.
Let's
hold on.
start with.
I'll take that back. I'll
It
take that
makes
back.
me feel this way when you do this.
I don't want to turn this
it-
meeting to feelings, okay? Because we're here for facts, right? So let's just stick to that.
Okay, so in honoring the Chief Justice, it makes me feel when the three of you waltz into my office, ill-equipped with misinformation and what have you, with a preconceived notion of what it is I plan on doing, that you are so scared and defensive that you feel that you need to circle the wagons and try to attempt to poke holes in any suggestion that I had to make to you. That makes me feel like shit. And that makes me feel like you guys aren't doing it because you have the best interest of Los Santos in mind. It makes me feel like you guys have your interest in mind. And the document
How
that
does
you
that
sent
make
me,
you feel, Slaxton Turner?
Well, real quick, since we're talking about
way.
feelings, that made, I mean, I felt we had to come to your office to get anything out of you. We got no response from you. We got nothing, no corpse brought up to us. We
went to the
wanted
horse.
to.
We want to hear
you.
from the horse's mouth and figure out
So-
exactly what's going on because we're hearing a lot of things from a lot of different officers and a lot of different people. So we said,
Who?
Let's go talk to the mayor.
Who talked to you? Are they in
Many
this
people
room right
talk to
now?
us.
Who
Who-
talked
who?
to you?
Well,
The
who talk-
majority of the officers.
Yeah,
that
we'd like
came
to know who the
Yeah,
officers
whoever
are.
you spoke to.
Who were this majority that came to you?
Look, see, that's the thing right now. Those officers could lose their job if I
No,
were
they're
to say
not.
something.
No, they
No,
cannot.
Oh, give me
we
a
have-
fucking
but
break.
I spoke
hang
with
on,
Buck.
we have
I
never-
spoke with
we have
Buck,
never
man.
given
Nobody
somebody
has been
repercussions for
fired.
talking.
When I
Never.
met with Flop and Cornwood 2 days ago, you called both of them twice to find out what they were doing and where they were. I
because-
invited you to that meeting and you said no.
What is
Why
calling
are
and
you
checking
talking
on
to
you?
them like
What
that?
are you
What are you
talking
afraid
about?
of?
Where the fuck is
We're
Ruth?
No,
Get the hell out of here,
no.
Mommy.
Stupid ass
Oh
Ruth.
my
Fuck her. Where is she?
No, I
To my
literally
fucking
told
dick.
I literally told
Somebody
you to
else
leave.
wasn't hugged enough.
Fuck you,
Leave,
Slack.
Rami. I
That man
told
needs
you
a
to
hug.
leave. Sorry about that.
I contacted my officers because they're in the middle of nowhere. 10-7, I answered the radio because I was worried they're being kidnapped. That was
So you
my
called-
fear.
You called them personally. then, on
Yes,
your
because
phone.
you're not answering the radio. I asked them multiple times on 311 over the radio, no response at all. So I
Is there a
called their
problem
personal
with
cell.
us keeping checks on
No,
officers?
I
We're not
just didn't-
reprimanding people.
I didn't understand the context. Okay.
Right, and we didn't understand the context of what you're going through, right? I think the game of telephone is what Crane talked about here very well.
Misinformation,
You have a perspective
assumptions.
on the police department, and we have a perspective on what's going on as far as outside of our police department. I think
Okay,
it's
we're going
more
in
about-
circles. Can we just do this? Can we agree that in the future, if you guys hear something about each other, you wait to talk to each other before drawing conclusions? Is that fair?
We want an open line of communication.
Max, is that fair?
I'm more than willing to do that. I
Great,
would love
cool.
to do that.
I think that's more productive than listening to a bunch of gossip people who have their own agendas and biases.
And I
So
wanna-
let's
I wanna-
talk to each other in the future. And by the way, Slag, this is not me saying that I don't honestly think there's also an objective need for information gathering. But let me just put it this way. If you think Willie Glory is a gossip pound, well, I don't know what to say to you.
I'm not worried about that. For me, and I'm not even worried. If the mayor goes up to an office and says, hey, how is the PD doing? I have no problem with them telling the mayor exactly what they're going through and what they think. I have no issue whatsoever, right? I think for me, if there's a problem or we want to have an official resolution for it, I just feel like officers should follow just chain of command. We should go through Nakota or the captains.
Do you
try to
do you
figure
know-
out?
Do you know the name of the cop who showed me into MRPD last night?
Yeah, Buck. I hired him myself.
Well, is he okay?
Buck Fleming. Of course he's all right. Why
He's
wouldn't he
all
be all
right.
right?
I mean, why wouldn't he be okay? I'm confused.
Well, I mean, is he going to receive any reprimand or punishment for allowing us into the building?
Why would he receive any punishment? for that?
So,
I am
Mr.
asking
Mayor,
you
may I-
if that is what is going to happen. I'm not accusing you
Absolutely
of
not.
having-
I talked to him, and he told me the same conversation he told me. And I said, that's fine.
Mr. Mayor,
What's-
can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
So during the initial, I guess you could say speech when you're presenting this case,
Mm-hmm.
you were explaining how officers are afraid to speak due to repercussion. What situation arose that that was your presumption of what happens to officers?
I've spoken to several officers now, and every time I ask them about how it's going or how they feel about their superiors or how everything is operating within the police department, every single one of them hesitated. Like, because they were afraid of what was going to happen to them if they were to even begin speaking out of line. Nakota himself in our council meetings is afraid to speak to the 100% of his job title because he is afraid that it is going to contradict what you guys think.
I will interject. I want to make this point very clear because I hope this isn't lost on Nakota or anyone else in this room. So for everyone's benefit, the logic behind the creation of some of these positions, such as healthcare, law enforcement, head of the bar, was that if I wanted my own opinion I already have it. I am the status quo of the DOJ. Slacks and Turner, you are the status quo of the PD. You set policy, you direct, the vision, and you create the culture. The point of having a PD liaison and a head of the bar association separate from the high command or de facto chief leadership of the department is so that we can get a different opinion from the status quo. So the idea is that if the lawyers don't like something policy-wise going on with the DOJ, they don't have to be afraid of trying to go all the way up and challenge the status quo, aka me. They can go through Malton, and Malton can be their voice. Same thing with Nakota. The idea is that he can go to the rank and file, they can bring concerns to him, and they can emerge things, topics, such as have being said to the mayor. Unfortunately, what the mayor is reflecting is that his impression, and again, his feeling, his impression, subjective, is that his impression is that Nakota is simply acting as a mouthpiece for the status quo, aka you guys, and not affecting the will of the rank and file. I don't know if that's accurate or not, and I'm sure Nakota can speak for himself. Nakota?
Yeah, the officers who, well, I'll just say two things. Number one, I was a bit confused when I read this document previously, in conjunction with learning about the facts that apparently the newly elected chief of staff was going to officers and telling them that I needed to be recalled from my position. So that was a little bit worrying.
Did that happen?
No, that's not at all what I said. Okay, there's a game of telephone that's happening here.
Slacks,
I'm gonna tell you what my exact words were.
Okay, yeah,
I will
what did
tell
you
you what my
say?
exact words were. Some people are asking me about how Lance was doing, and were asking me about what the council meetings were like and what Nakota were like. And I said that Lance was fighting for the lawyers super hard, and that I was really, really proud to call him my president of the Bar Association. And I did not see the same fire from Nakota. That was all I said. I did not try to throw anybody on the bus and say that he was doing shite or anything like that. I was just asked on my opinion. I was a lawyer. I was not a chief of staff. I had not taken any oath or anything of the like. And I'm gonna go back to that Bill of Human Privileges for that freedom of speech. I'm entitled to give my opinion.
So
and
you
Lance has
didn't-
been doing
oh,
a
go ahead.
bang up fucking job. He's been doing amazing.
So you did not say to anybody that I should be
When they asked
recalled.
what they can do about it, I said that that's an action that they can try to take. I don't even know if it's feasible. That's not for me to say. I just gave legal advice as a lawyer. I was retained by many.
For the record,
of the
there is no
PD.
recall. There is only
Yeah,
impeachment.
I didn't think so. Thanks. Like I said that would be an option, but I wasn't even sure if it was feasible, right? I'm like, that's something you could try. Don't know until you try it, right? But thanks for that, Crane.
Elected officials are impeachable. Appointed officials may be
Right.
removed by the state.
Yeah, fired or whatever. Yeah, got it. Yep, that's it. Yeah, but I mean, I had PD coming to me crying, actually crying, because they were so scared and concerned that they wanted to engage in a collective bargaining agreement. A collective bargaining agreement.
Interesting.
What do you mean by that?
Collective bargaining for what?
Like a union?
Yes.
Well, if I may.
And oh, Cletus, okay.
I just I don't like the word union. That's all, just for my own personal reasons. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't want to speak up out of turn. Go ahead.
Sure.
You sure your last name ain't Dan? They don't much like the union either.
Oh, it just is what it is.
So this is a report that you received, Nakota, from who?
I've heard from 3 different people that my position was called into question, but I'm confused about the collective bargaining issue. That this was what they came to you instead of to me to collective bargain for.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Are any of the people in this room?
Well, hold on, Mayor.
counselors-
Hold on, Mayor. You never mentioned a single officer's name yet, to be fair, okay? So
I
if you
cannot
could
break
speak in
privilege.
specifics,
I cannot
think
break attorney-client privilege. I will not name names.
You will get those names, I promise. Did a counselor relay this to you, Nakota?
No.
Okay. Continue.
What would PD members want to collectively bargain for?
I'm not going to break privilege. Crane is right here. I would like to have my bar license back, one day when I'm off of LOA. So I'm not going to break privilege. I'm sorry.
Could you be acting in your official capacity as a lawyer if you're on a leave?
No, but I'm still a practiced. Crane, can I just break attorney-client privilege if I'd like to be a lawyer again one day?
I have never considered the question of whether or not privilege survives someone turning in their bar license.
I've always considered it to still apply.
I have not considered that in this jurisdiction, no.
As someone who has been elected to speak to the lawyers, I would imagine most of them would say that that oath carries on until the death of said client themselves or a written waiver.
I agree. I would agree with Lance.
That is a persuasive argument.
You said you had something else, Dakota?
Perhaps that is a city council matter to vote on.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Okay. No,
Look at
those were the
them.
only two things.
Okay. Do we have any misunderstandings about this act as written?
Now that the captains have had a chance to read over it, do y'all have any questions for us?
I already kind of just aired out my frustration as far as what I think I would like to see. And for me, at the end of the day, as long as good people are in charge, as long as there's checks and balances, I'm all for change. I welcome it with open arms. And I welcome anybody from the city council to come down to the police department and have a conversation with us. I'll open the doors for y'all to see what we do. I'll share SOPs with y'all if you'd like to hear about it. We're not trying to hide anything. I'm not trying to run away from accountability. Hell, I'll be the tip of the spear when it comes to accountability. I'll be the first person to raise my hand and say, you know what, I messed up and I could do a better job.
And it is not the intention of the mayor's office to bulldoze what you guys have been working on, as I told you last night before things got heated. All in favor of this act? Yay!
Hang on,
I need to read this again.
Here's my going to be my last point. Before if anyone wants to talk about this further, we can. I think I want to phrase this. Sorry. Look, this. I think that a lot of concerns have been discussed. I think a lot of there's been a lot of back and forth here. I get that there is, we could always repeal this next week, next month, next administration, etc. However, I would also like to point out that the reverse is possible. This is a plan that could be gotten to in steps. I'm not saying that this is what has to happen, but is there a world in which we could play around with the wording a little bit, shall we say?
I can offer a compromise.
If I could finish my thought.
Oh, yeah,
first,
sure.
Yeah. It was to strip down the wording, shall we say, where we do affirm that, let's say, the mayor's office is basically the mouthpiece of the state, the liaison between the state and the PD, if the state is not available. The full extent of their powers are to be determined, discussed next week. However, a power that they do have is to establish fact-finding missions to determine what the problems of the PD are, and then based on the results of that, that's when we could potentially discuss additional powers, responsibilities, etc.
I want to say something. We had a previous piece of legislation, which was the thing about time, right? The minutes. And one of the things that a lot of us did was abstain because we were uncertain about our capacity to make such a decision. It sounds like some of the contextualization from what Malton is saying and others have expressed is that they are concerned about the exact definition of the state and how the authority rests and how this would effectively pan out. So might I suggest that instead of voting this into legislation to be published tomorrow, why don't we instead vote to send this to the state? So what I mean by that is, instead of voting yay or nay on publishing this, why don't we vote yay or nay on sending this to Max's bosses, my bosses, all of our bosses, and getting their input? And if they approve, then you have your tacit approval, not only that they feel that there is enough restraint and checks and balances here to satisfy their interest, but also you know that they are actively involved in paying attention. Would that help to quell things?
Honestly, that would for me, but I would like to hear the mayor's opinion on this since this is his piece of legislation.
So
Well, first of all,
fucking,
I'm not the only one who
blazing
worked
so
on this.
fucking hard, dude.
Okay. Second of all,
It's been an hour
if we
already.
cannot showcase to the state that we're able to operate with the powers that we've been instilled with, be it the ability to repeal acts that are not effective, or be it the ability to impeach each other if we are found to be corrupt or overreaching, then going to them with this act in hand and attempting to get their approval for it kind of defeats the whole purpose of this council.
I
It's
don't
not
see
a
it that
bad
way.
point. It's not a bad point.
But you're making progress. You're pushing legislation.
Well,
Things
and
are
I'll put
moving
it this
along,
way.
right?
Effectively, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's the same thing either way, because if we pass something, well, actually, that's interesting.
Wouldn't it look a lot worse if your boss does not agree with it and says, you know what, it's a terrible idea?
I mean,
hold on. There is a mechanism. There is a mechanism that exists already, and that mechanism is spelled out in the way that the city council functions. To Max's point, we can both exercise our authority and leave it open for the state to repeal this at any time if they so please. That is not enacting a supermajority. So, for example, if Madam Treasurer and one or two other folks have doubts, they can vote nay, and that will effectively leave the window open for this act to be examined at any time by the state and repealed.
To
that is another way to do it, to do the oversight.
To expand on this, this is a similar method to how some PD decisions were made in the past. Is it palpable, let's say, to some of us, where again it's a compromise between the two systems? We potentially vote this in, and in the event that it's not a supermajority, the state has 72 hours to veto it. They can obviously veto it at any time, as is their purview. But this doesn't kick in for, I'm just going to throw out a time frame here, 72 hours. That way, like, if the state wishes to stop this before it even comes into effect, that's within their purview, and then they could stop it after as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a sunrise clause, not a sunset clause. Like, we vote a legislation to come into effect half a week from now, a week from now, and the Fed still has their time to review it and stop it before it even starts, if that's what they wish.
The Fed is aware.
Okay.
They know what this thing says. They know how I feel about it. They are aware. And guess what? No veto.
Well, the bosses I talked to give me a different perspective as well. So it seems like I said, what was proposed by Moulton to just vote on it and wait till next week till we get the answer. I think that's a good compromise as far as what's going on.
When did you speak?
I believe yesterday with them.
Okay, I spoke to them 10 minutes before this meeting.
I will admit I was a part of that conversation, and I can confirm what Max is saying.
So let's take it to a vote.
I got a couple questions about it, if you don't mind.
You are not a council member. Let's take it to a vote.
Hold on.
No.
I am. Hold on. Let's, guys, please.
Don't screech. No. Okay.
We
you tried
work
to
so
shush
hard.
Cornwood.
We work so hard on the tone. Guys. Look, please, for my sanity. Okay, I am a council member, Max, and I want to make sure that we give everyone the benefit of the doubt so that we do this mutually. Okay, we've already spent enough time on this. Can we please just afford a couple more questions?
Sure. Sorry,
okay,
Turner,
Turner, go ahead.
Thank you there. Just to make sure I got the verbiage right, I just want to get clarification on this. Commissioner of the LSPD, and this is in writing on this, Commissioner of the LSPD is empowered to carry out the functions of LSPD at the highest level. The Commissioner of LSPD does not answer to the mayor's office in any capacity after being selected.
That's
the
right.
Commissioner is a well-respected cop and senior plus at minimum.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes over your head.
No, he goes over your head.
He's
your
equal.
boss.
He would be equal to the council, essentially. He serves the state just like we do. He would be the PD's boss.
Or she.
The verbiage is that he does not answer to the mayor's office.
Correct.
That's right.
Just like the Chief Justice does not answer to the PD.
I wanted to put that in there specifically just so that you guys don't think that I'm installing like a puppet that's working for you. Like that person has no obligation to do anything that I tell them to do. Okay.
And guess what? He doesn't even pick that person. It's in conjunction with the state. So even if that wasn't in there, it wouldn't necessarily be his exact choice.
That's right.
I am curious. The investigations that the mayor's office would be doing on the PD, who would be doing that? Would that be something that you yourself would be doing, or would you be bringing
No,
in
that's what I mentioned
others?
earlier. Willie Glory and Lance Malton. Willie was my pick.
And they would be the only
Lance
ones?
was a mutual discussion point. Yes.
I mean, look, my recommendation is I would have liked to see like Jenny Hall in that just for additional coverage, and I believe she is well qualified. But
I would agree with that too.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when I
wait, are you? Hold on. Sorry, that's inappropriate. Go ahead. I just had a realization. I'll keep it to myself.
Okay. I'll full disclosure for my part on this. Obviously I was given a softball question about all this, and
no charges, clean record.
The pitch was Office Space, send in the Bobs as a fact finding mission. The names that I pitched were all former members of PD High Command who each were the administrative de facto heads of their respective departments, who I feel would be qualified for a fact-finding mission. That being said, look, obviously, the wording can be played around a little bit. I see here that some definitions have been changed. So, but before a vote, I would like just two more minutes to read over this. But
take 5. All right, I'm gonna go piss.
This is
yes,
good.
please.
I have one more question, Mr. Mayor. Can I ask you just one more quick question?
Sure. And look, I'm sorry for shutting you down just now, man. I'm just.
That's all right.
All right.
When we spoke yesterday, you mentioned that this was only going to be enacted for your term.
Yeah, I'm still interested in pursuing that because a big concern of the council is a lot of what ifs about the future and potential abuse. In order to ease their minds, that is something I'm more than willing to do.
What? And I didn't hear the question. Sorry, I was talking to Alan.
He was asking if it would be for the duration of my term. I told him that's something I'm interested in doing to assuage the fears of the council.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, emergent state, temporary action. This is not like a forever thing.
Right. I just didn't see that in writing on the legislation.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw. I meant to throw in there. I got distracted. It will be at the bottom.
Okay.
I will ensure there is a sunset clause.
Yeah, but before y'all vote, can we just take a look at it one more time, just the final copy?
We have the final copy.
I will copy paste the final draft into your thing.
Yeah, I believe it's being edited live. That's why I was asking.
Can you let me out so I can get some chips?
Yeah,
it needs to be edited with exactly what we spoke about.
I have to give it to you guys after it gets edited.
Thank you.
That's good. Trust me. Look,
we get food.
Yeah. These ones go for a while, Cornwood.
Yeah, hell, I'm gonna be honest. I love this shit.
It's interesting, but sometimes they go on like topics that last an hour are really rare.
Yeah. Hell, sounds like damn people coming to talk to me at MRPD.
Thank goodness we got the food vending machines.
Oh hell.
The hell, Philly? Dude, this playlist is way too fucking jazzy for me right now. Holy. I was clicking on a random. Nope, this one's gonna be too slow. I need something that's just like.
The mayor may provide recommendations, input, assessment. The mayor is not the de facto decision maker. He is a cog in a wheel, just like all of us.
Okay.
I need a cigarette. I'm right back.
This one's too slow. This one's too slow.
Yeah, talk to you both.
Yep.
I need more cigarettes.
Same.
Michael, do you need food?
No, I need cigarettes. I guess that counts as food at this point.
Okay, let me give you some.
Yes, please.
Let's see. What about this one?
Should quit smoking.
What are you saying? Three packs a day is bad for me?
I'm worried about your lungs.
I'm not. My lungs are fine.
I'm really 3 packs a day. I'm worried about your lungs.
Can we shop music?
I only had 6 cigarettes throughout this entire conversation.
Wow.
Hey.
All right, I gotta go talk to Crane really fast about
Yeah, you're good.
my
Hey,
bar
I got
license.
a question for y'all.
What's up?
Why do y'all think I have a problem with people thinking I'm doing insane shit I ain't saying or doing? Y'all think I do it maybe I'm a little bit too long-winded whenever I speak?
Wait, what?
I've never had issues with you when I talk to you. I have heard crazy things about stuff you've done. Don't get me wrong.
I feel like
I don't think
people
it's
exaggerate what I say and do a hell of a lot. Either that or I'm not communicating well enough.
It's
Because
possible, yeah.
I need the
Yeah,
music
'cause
to
I ain't
concentrate. I
really
need the background
understanding,
music. I can turn it off for you
what's
guys,
going
but I
on, 'cause
need like
I
a
just
background
always
track.
be 100% honest with whoever I'm talking to. And then I hear through the grapevine that, this guy said that guy said that this guy said that Cornwood said or did this. And I'm like, what the shit? Hello? I mean, I didn't give up $170,000 of my own money to the PD for no reason. It's because I love this place. I want it to be as good as possible.
I'm just trying to find something
Yeah.
that's not.
Hell, I guess so.
It happens to all of us.
Totally,
A lot of
like-
things in this city happens because of games of telephone. That's why, like,
Or people manipulating and spinning a narrative for their own benefit as well.
yeah, but that
I mean,
that
maybe,
goes hand in
but
hand.
I suppose so. But the thing is I don't understand why people just don't try and make what's best for everybody.
That's literally what we try to do. The minute that I started hearing about this, I started going directly to officers and speaking to them directly. I had no problems getting meetings with the captains, but I put in the time and the effort, because I know how busy and hectic their schedule is.
Yeah,
So, I mean, the minute I wanted to speak to a captain, I sat at MRPD and I waited for one. Because it's that important.
Sure.
I didn't just dismiss it because it was inconvenient, because my job is to make sure that I get all of the facts. When I heard that there were concerns from other PD officers, I went to many different
you have
PD
some?
officers
I
and asked
only
them
have 2 left.
what's going on, what are the
I have
issues.
one left.
Because
I'm
I
gonna have to
don't
go to the
listen to
store
what
again
others
sometime.
say.
I'll see if Norman
I
has
go
some.
and I hear
Go
it straight
downstairs
from the mouth,
real quick.
the horse's mouth. So
Yeah, I mean,
Norman. Norman.
Yo.
Are you still at City Hall?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, you have cigarettes?
No, I don't. I think you guys have a spy.
Why?
I don't know how thin the walls are. I don't know if the sound carries.
Carries from outside.
There's a legal aid that is sitting in the waiting room on the 3rd floor. They are sitting on the back wall, nowhere near any of the vending machines. They're just sitting there on their phone.
Interesting.
So I don't know if the sound carries or not.
Oh, it does.
Just an unusual spot to sit. I came up here to get a little snacky snack, and I noticed it's the one that's been standing at the front desk all day.
Here.
I think she was in on the case yesterday too with Rami.
Oh, yeah.
The one that was with the prosecution. Yeah, back wall to the right.
Oh yeah.
Just so you're aware.
Okay.
I think you should try to hand them off, but I don't think someone should be left out to dry if like it, you know, you have like too much knowledge.
And that I make them feel heard.
Did anybody go to Nakota?
I did multiple times.
What about any of the other officers? Did they go to him?
Huh?
He didn't have
I'm unaware.
He had cigarettes.
Because I mean, it's
But these
literally
issues have been
Fuck.
well before the PD liaison.
Also, there's like some
position's
legal
been a
aid
thing.
just listening through the floor.
Okay, but even still, after he was instated, he's been in his position for what, almost a month now?
Yeah, and I've gone to Nakota. I mean, hell, I love Nakota. Hell, I gave him. He was short on money for a house. I gave him $15,000 the other week, and I told him, you don't even got to give me interest. Just just pay me back when you can, brother, because that's the way I operate. Whether it's the PD or other officers that I'm close with, I gave them what I got because they're low on cash, and that's just, I know we're not in we're in a little bit of an economic crisis right now. I understand that, but if I can give a little bit now to make everybody else happier, then I can just kind of help do what I can to keep the boat moving. And that's
just for
that's just
once a week Monday
shit.
meeting.
Is that an alpha?
Wait, what? What just happened?
It sounds like a cop got injured.
I don't hear anything.
So he can keep an eye.
Okay, I heard an alpha. I ran out there, made sure that it wasn't one of the captains or some shit getting shot at or
There's
something.
a
I don't
reason
know.
why I don't really show up to those.
Okay, shit.
It's clear you have, you have a
Right.
lot of care for the PD, and I definitely see that.
It's a legal aid that's just like
I can't speak to what
listening through the floor
but
in
no,
the waiting
I see
room.
what you mean.
The one with the brown curly hair, I guess.
Who's that?
I have no idea. I don't remember her name.
Female?
Yep.
Excuse me, Corn, if I could
You
give a
find out
little
who it
so I can
is?
Sit down.
Yeah, let me just
Yeah, a
get
little
Norman
bit,
to get her
Corn,
name.
A little bit.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Oh hell, I got us a bunch of hold on. I got food for everybody.
Oh, I could use food.
Do you have any cigarettes?
Oh no, hell.
I'm fairly certain that it was first.
I can't be the only smoker in this fucking room.
I am.
You're a smoker?
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Where's your cigarette?
Yeah, of course.
Start taking it up. Yeah.
I'm not strapped right now.
We're social smokers.
Does anybody else need food? I got about 30 more bags of chips, and I got some waters.
I'm all right, thank you.
I'm okay
Did I
with that, thank you.
miss anything when I was out smoking?
I was out as
Not
well.
really. We're chatting a little bit, but nothing crazy.
Oh, Crane, can I talk to you about the outstanding cases I have on the docket after this?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Looks like I'm just waiting for Nakota.
Yeah,
Are you
I
in there
guess
right
just that idle chit chat. Crane, was it a requirement that she gave up her bar license for the
Probably.
duration, or was that your decision?
Correct.
Siobhan? Okay, all right, that's fine.
Well, I informed her that she would have limitations. So
Yeah.
much like it would kind of be the inverse of Cornwood over there.
Yeah.
If Cornwood is ever reinstated as a police officer, he having a bar license cannot defend criminal. He can engage in civil matters not against the PD. So contracts between two individuals, et cetera, business proposals, blah, blah, blah. but he should not engage in any conflicting interest sort of things. And I said the opposite to Siobhan, which was you can participate in criminal matters while being on the council, but you should not participate in civil matters because there are obvious issues there.
Yeah, no civil cases. I just want to talk to you about the ones that I have outstanding, what I should do with some of them. Thank you.
Now that we're all back, before we vote or anything, I do want to say something, and I mean this. I want to apologize to everybody. My belief is that my personal estimation of my role in this city, as well as this council, as a microcosm thereof, that I assign myself and I take responsibility for, is being a mediator. As someone who held, I would say, probably the most universal information of everyone in this room about this act and the different perspectives, I failed in communicating and being available to assuage the concerns and misinformation that were occurring throughout the last week. So I personally think that I failed in that regard, and I apologize. And I will endeavor in the future to do better.
Same.
I will make a personal request for this. So sorry, Simone, go ahead.
No, I think it kind of ties into it, and I'm not.
Deputy Mayor, can you speak up, please?
Yeah, I cannot hear you.
Yeah. I don't think that is if this is how this happened, but we also need to be careful. I know that we're putting shit up in the MDT, but we also need to realize that when we put it up, it doesn't mean that's the final wording, nor that is the final revision of a mandate or legislation. That's why we have these meetings, is for talking things through. So sometimes I think if we look at something, we should probably question it, and that's why you can make edits. You can look at it. You can make notes, whatever. Example would be that you guys saw one wording that was then changed later on by Crane and Max. So things do change around. That's again why we have these meetings, is to discuss and make the final changes. Just because it's brought up doesn't mean that it's going to get pushed through the same day. If everyone disagrees, or if you think it has to be reworded or rewritten, that's what we'll do. So we need to be careful not to run with whatever is written. It could be work in progress.
The last thing I'll see is obviously this legislation that was proposed was very contentious. Obviously, I can't mandate this, but I do believe that this is important enough vote that no one should abstain from it. That's just my request from everyone here, is that there's no abstentions on this one, although of course it can't be enforced.
Just to clarify, is there going to be a amendment in here? I thought I heard you say this, Mayor, about the term of this.
Yeah, two things that we have agreed on with the officers is that there will be a sunset clause for at least this mayor's term. What was the other one?
I do have a question real quick. Let's say this selected individual for commissioner is incompetent, doesn't do the job you're looking for, mayor. How do you remove that person? What is there like
Petition
a vote?
the state.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be fine. I promise.
Just like if you think I'm incompetent, you go to my boss.
Understood.
Voting time.
Voting time.
Naturally, I presented this. I vote yay. Liaison of the Police Department of Los Santos.
I vote nay.
Head of bar, former police commissioner, Moulton.
Yay.
Head of medical group, or liaison of the medical group of Los Santos, Philippa Cantor.
I vote nay.
Chief Justice, the Venerable Alan Crane.
I am of the assumption that Madam Treasurer will vote nay, and thus the vote will not reach a supermajority, and thus that will accomplish the state oversight that we have referred to. and thus I am comfortable voting yay because I believe in my bosses and the state to curb and repeal this should anything go awry. So I vote yay.
The Lady Treasurer.
Nay.
Deputy Mayor Michael Simone.
I vote yay.
Chief of Staff Siobhan Thoroughbred.
Yay.
The yeas have it.
5-3.
Passes 5-3, which means it's not a supermajority. Thus, everyone can be assured there is state oversight and potential to repeal should the mayor act out of turn.
Good.
Okay, I will go ahead now and I will edit the report into its final form. I will ensure there is a sunset clause at the conclusion of my editing. I will ask that everyone review my notes and edits such that we're all in agreement. This is what we voted for. When we all agree, then I will publish it and I will pass the published version on to the PD.
I don't, you know, I think that's good. I'd also like to say for everyone here, you know, I've obviously I've talked about this with a lot of people, but Max, I will not hesitate to repeal this if this starts to go off the at the first sign of it going off the rails. I will be submitting
to find the
something
document
to repeal
itself.
this.
Well,
But,
seeing as I will be petitioning you to basically head up this investigation, I hope it doesn't go off the rails.
And what investigation you're looking into, so we can have at least a bit of perspective? Is
Everything. The
there something you
goal.
wanna talk
Sorry,
about
I
right
don't
now?
want to. I don't want to answer for Max, but my perspective that Max
You're
and I
right.
discussed at length is that this is not a targeted investigation of one thing. This is, as I said, I brought in Miss Wright to help guide me in constructing and orchestrating the city council and our modern form of government. This is simply an investigative panel that will hold interviews with members of the PD should they wish to speak to the panel. And those members of PD can bring up anything they wish. And the panel will then report those concerns, claims, etc. accordingly and their findings thereof, in which I hold the utmost respect and trust in Lance Moulton and Willie Glory to do so with integrity to the mayor. The mayor then will report that information to the state, and then decisions can be made about outcomes based on that information. Is that accurate, Mr. Mayor?
100,000,000%.
I would also like to add, obviously, nothing is set in stone, but it is my belief that while this may be a team of people, I believe that each person operates differently. I would recommend to the mayor's office, whoever is
next time I
ultimately
don't pause
chosen
the
as
timer.
the head of this fact-finding mission and whatever team is assembled, that they do not reach their results together. This should be 2 to 4 people who go in as individuals, do their own assessment in
I
whatever
forgot to
way
click
they
on-
feel is
oh,
appropriate,
resume
come
on
to
click
whatever
was what I
conclusion
forgot.
they feel is appropriate, independent of the other people who are going in to investigate. And then
So
that
wait.
that is when the findings
Hold
come
on.
together and are presented.
Pauses?
Yeah. The
That's a
mayor's
good
office
point.
and the mayor's office and you will discuss the precise methodology to making all of this happen at a later date.
Understood.
I'm a big fan of that. I've said this before when it comes to groupthink, but there's a famous experiment called the lion experiment where they get 8 people in a room, 7 of them are plants and 1 is the subject, and they put a piece of paper in the middle of the table and it has a number of lines on it. 2 of them are relatively close, but pretty obvious if you have a functioning brain, and what we would call a better than lukewarm IQ. Which one is the longest line?
God damn it.
The purpose of the experiment is that the 7 planted people go first and they all pick the wrong answer. About 70% of the time, the subject of the experiment goes with the crowd, even though he knows it's wrong, because he's embarrassed to say his own thoughts and be wrong. So I'm firmly in agreement with Malton that I think an independent assessment is better.
It was always going to be that way. I informed the
There you
captains
go.
last night of such as well. Sick. Well, we got the hard part out of the way. Does anyone have any suggestions of legislation they'd like to propose?
Yes, but I need time to edit this first, so everyone else, I defer to you.
Can I just just to reassure
go
people
for it.
that if there's any concerns in general about what we just did, if people do believe that there will be some sort of abuse or seeing that things are heading in the wrong direction, impeachment is still an option, and that is something else also to keep in mind. So if shit does go off the rails and it's not Molten's fault,
Guess
again,
I just need a
impeachment
web-based timer from
is
now
an
on.
option.
Now, my thing is, and I know this is past, I'm just giving my personal opinion. Aren't we just creating another layer, right? Because that commission needs to have oversight as well, right? Isn't the same thing that what might happen again with the captains might happen with the commissioner, where there's no oversight?
There's the state oversight, just like me.
Right,
weren't
but the
they
state
already
oversight
under the
is
state oversight?
exactly. My bosses are the feds, right? That's who hired me. So isn't it the same thing?
Your concern is that
That's just
you were
an
saying
extra
that who's
step.
over, who's looking over the person looking over the person looking over the person is what.
Exactly. That was the reason why we're here today, right?
No, we're here today because this is an investigative panel into a series of concerns
Right,
that have been brought.
Because the mayor believes there's no oversight for the captains, right? Who's holding them accountable?
That may be one facet of it. My belief that is not the end-all be-all purpose of this.
I understand, but I'm discussing what the legislation is supposed to do, right? I'm just trying to kind of, give my thought process on it.
Let me ask you this: Were you intending on creating or electing a chief or commissioner anyway?
Yeah, so we proposed something to the mayor actually, where we proposed for 5-6 names to the city council, and y'all pick somebody who's a good fit for that.
Okay, that's the same thing except the state's doing it.
I mean, you sent me a document, and the only names on that list were the 3 captains.
That was that was a document from Captain Rui's perspective. I provided my guidelines as well too.
So okay, all right. Almost
So
said something
again,
really mean.
again, much like the law enforcement liaison, the idea here is that people can throw their hat in the ring, people senior and above, and if the state thinks that person is fit, the state can select that person.
Absolutely.
Boom. Sick. Well, don't want to keep you guys from patrol.
I mean, I'm here if you have any more questions, anything you want to talk about, more than happy to answer. If not, we can leave. I mean, I'm not a city council member. I came here to just provide perspective.
My panel and I will contact you at a later date.
Okay,
all right.
Slacks and Turner, I will make the edits we discussed. I've already given you my word on what that will consist of. I will take the final version and put it into the high command document that we've already discussed before I publish it into legislation, just so you see that I'm honoring my word. I will text you, Slacks, and let you know that it's been updated for your review.
Appreciate you, Justice.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we'll need somebody to let us out here, please.
Yes,
I
please.
got you.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
I'm feeling good about that, guys.
Yeah.
I still have my concerns, but these concerns can always be addressed via legislation at a later date.
I do like how everything is pointed at Max, even though it says mayor and
Never
deputy
mind
mayor.
about that person, by the way.
So I'm just gonna enjoy my cigarette.
Yeah, I was gonna say you didn't really speak.
You're not the
much there,
one shit
Michael.
talking them, so it's okay.
They deserve to be shit talked. Let's be honest.
I disagree.
Okay, so
There's some what's that quote about? Something about the emperor's clothes or something. I don't know.
The Emperor's wearing no clothes?
Shoes, I think you mean.
You can criticize people without actively shit talking.
yeah, they don't listen, man. In response to that meeting last night, they're the only cops on duty. They went back to MRPD. They circled their wagons and they tried to do everything they could to not make this happen. Instead of going out on patrol and keeping these streets safe, which is their fucking job. Okay? And God knows how much they're doing this or how little they're actually doing behind scenes, which is the purpose of this investigation.
I don't disagree with you, Mr. Mayor.
I know your take.
I would
I
just
was
suggest
I was in that
that
room last night, and they pretty much spat in Max's face. I'm gonna be real.
Siobhan, to be frank, I don't trust your opinion on it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
okay.
fine.
Why don't you trust her opinion, Cantor?
Because she's extremely heavily biased in your favor.
Yeah, and guess who else was biased in my favor? By design, by the government, by Alan
Well,
Crane,
the
by
chief of
everyone who.
staff? I'm not arguing against that. That's okay if you put her in there.
So, what do you think the
But when
alternative would have
she's
been with
trying
my
to
other chief
defend
of
you in a
staff?
situation, I'm not arguing the chief of staff thing. I just said that I don't trust her opinion on how the situation went. That's all.
So simply because she is my wife, you think that she is biased?
No, I think Cantor's saying that the chief of staff vouching for your perspective is kind of redundant.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So
it's fine that she is chief of staff. I'm not arguing, but yes.
Okay, so can you?
I'm
can
just
you,
gonna say this right now. Crane is.
Hold on,
all
chief of
right,
staff,
I'll be quiet.
please. Can you read out loud, Miss Philippa, the precise role definition?
I know
Let's
what
not
it
be
means.
pedantic.
Max, I am not arguing about her being chief of staff. I never
She's
once mentioned her
reflecting
being
on
chief
it.
of staff.
I think you
So
guys are missing the point.
Oh, look! If this
I'm
is a
not.
council of 8 that is supposed to be, why didn't you say anything about Juno then?
I'm quite literally saying I have no issue with her position. I just said that I do not trust her opinion on how the situation went, because she is obviously biased. That is different to her vote. That is different to her position. That is a personal thing. I am not saying anything about her position or Juno's position or chief of staff or any of that. You're putting words in my mouth.
That's fine. Anyway, listen, she's entitled to her opinion. That's fine. I know that
I
Crane has
understand the
always
purpose of the
trusted me
vote.
to
I
execute
get it.
my best judgment, and that's what counts to me.
Mm-hmm.
So the only 2 witnesses to what happened last night, you think we're lying? You think we're inflating what happened?
The 2 witnesses on your side versus the 3 people on theirs.
Versus the armed thugs that have failed to do their job.
It is insane that we have voted to put you in charge of them when you were saying things like this.
You didn't vote for shit.
No, I voted against you because of this
Yeah,
attitude.
and according to you,
He's not in charge of them.
You guys didn't even read the report.
That is what he has consistently told them,
He
which is
not,
why
okay,
I have no
Max,
faith that he will not use it to do so.
Let's all be really fucking clear for a second. Max is a mayor who doesn't wear shoes, who wears jeans imported from a 14-year-old from Portugal who rides a motorcycle inside City Hall up and down the stairs. Okay? He's going to say absurd, loud shit. It's going to be hyper. The man has a facial tattoo. I usually
he can
reserve.
be hyperbolic, but not Ruth. Is that what you're saying?
No.
What do you? I have not been hyperbolic once.
Stop.
I'm
Okay,
speaking
that
my
is
mind.
that is in and of itself hyperbolic and ridiculous.
Okay, what hyperbole have I
What you
spoken?
just said.
Okay, before that.
He has the Fingal tattoo?
Max,
no, he has the dab tattoo.
You have a way of articulating yourself in a way that is simultaneous your opinion and also the most emphatic and illustrative way of expressing that opinion. And in my definition, that is the perfect example of what hyperbole is. You may be core at the truth of what you're saying. There may be truth to it, but you are
Guys,
also
Young Dad
for your
was a
own, I
character
would
way
guess,
before
entertainment and whimsy,
what?
often
Hold on, what?
illustrating things in the way that is most comical
I'm sorry.
and
Yeah,
absurd.
no. He
to
didn't have that
poke
shit since
fun at
2.0.
the truth that you believe exists.
No.
That to me is hyperbole.
He didn't have that shit since 2.0. Yeah, you're I'm fucking
hyperbolic
wrong.
just
My
as much
bad.
as they are.
But I want to know what
My
Cantor
bad.
believes that I said was hyperbole before. You said you can do hyperbole, but
my
Ruth
joke
can't.
was because Crane stopped himself from saying it. It was not my word, and it was that was where the joke came from. Then.
Okay. Well, it is noted that you just completely do not believe my wife and I in matters of the utmost
That is not
importance.
what I said. In this one instance, once again, you were conflating this. In this one instance, I have stated that. I have not brought up any issues with her. The council. I have not brought up any issues in relation to anything else.
Can I say there is a distinct difference, although it may be being lost here due to emotion and heightened tension. There is a distinction between saying that you're not going to take someone's word for something and saying they are lying. Those are 2 wholly distinct things. For example, when I'm in court and I'm identifying testimony and someone comes up and says, yeah, me and the was just hanging out in the sewers walking home, we didn't try to kill those cops, I never saw that car, dog. Quote, unquote, Mr. Frederick Rowland from about a week ago. I'm not sitting there and calling Mr. Frederick Rowan a liar.
No, of
but
course
when
not.
his buddy, who also was running from the cops with him, gives me the same story, it doesn't add or subtract from his claim because there is a natural bias and incentive to reflect the same information. I'm not saying they're lying. I'm just saying it doesn't add or detract anything. My perspective is what Cantor was saying is when Siobhan chimes in and says, I can agree with him, I was there, that inevitably for her, it does not add or subtract to the veracity of your statement, given that you both have a similar interest and bias. Not to say that you're lying, just that it doesn't influence her meter of whether you were telling the truth in the first place. Is that
I get it.
relatively accurate?
Yeah, I understand. We're discussing the technical verbiage that she used. I get it. I know that you could argue that she meant it one way. I know, and I feel
saying that's
that
my
she meant it
impression.
another way. Yeah, look, I get it.
I did not. You
Okay.
can feel however you want, but I will say to you, I
Okay,
did not.
well, I feel that you and the treasurer spoke to each other before this meeting. You came in with an agenda. You probably spoke with Nakota.
I've had a
I
conversation
feel
with everyone here other than you and Siobhan because you weren't around yet. I talked with
Okay.
Michael. I talked with Malton. Two of your
So-
yes votes, by the way, who both tried to convince me to vote yes, as well as yes, Nakota and Netta.
So why'd you vote no? I'm curious.
To be frank, as there are changes in it, it didn't seem quite as bad. And I'm not as concerned about the
Hold on,
fact that it
before you
passed as I
continue,
would have been initially.
Before you continue,
Okay.
there were no changes except for that third bullet point from the day that you saw it to today. Okay, let's be clear about that.
Okay.
Nothing else
So
changed.
that specific change, since that did change, I feel more comfortable with it. I still did not feel comfortable putting someone who is throwing such vitriol at all three of the captains so unnecessarily. I don't think you should have a say in any of it, to be frank. I know it does
Oh.
not put you directly under. I know, it just gives you a part of it, but I do not think you should have a say if that is your opinion.
Well, I don't think you should have a vote if you can't read reports a day before the fucking council meeting.
I can read it. I've read it plenty. That's why
It's
I was
been in
meeting
there
with
for 3
people.
days, Cantor.
Why would I have met with people if I had not read it? Why are you making things up that are just completely blatantly
I'm not
untrue?
making it up. Both you and Etta had no idea what that said.
on.
You tried to give me
I read to you what it said 3 days
You're
ago,
speaking
so I
past
obviously
each-
read it at
you're
numerous
speaking,
points.
You're speaking
I have read
past
it
each
at
other
numerous
again.
points.
You're speaking
You read it
past
at
each
one
other
point.
again. You're
No,
speaking
I've
past
read
each
both.
other. Guys, we have to address a point the other person makes before making a differing point, or else there is literal no point in discourse, because all you're doing is speaking past each other and reiterating the same thing. If one person says red and the other person says blue, and then the other person just says, no, fuck you, red, and the other person says, what? No, I said blue, not red. And the other person says, no, I said red. What do you mean, you incompetent fuck? And the other person says, no, blue, motherfucker. No recourse will ever be reached. So let's focus on maybe getting to purple. How about that?
Okay. I read it a few days ago. I read it last night. I also read it today along with Malton's changes, which we discussed at length.
Those were changes. Those were notes, which is clearly written
So,
on the document.
his proposed changes. Sorry.
I mean, I will say that the definition for commissioner was clarified, but that is a very minor thing. I myself had a lot of concerns about this bill as I understood it when I read it. However, through discussing with various parties, I do have a concern about a mayor's office that holds a lot of power over PD. I have significantly less concerns about a mayor's office that is meant to be the liaison between the state and PD.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Okay, I'm gonna edit this thing. Let's please just try to get to yes together, because otherwise we're just gonna spin in circles. And tension like this will just carry on to other issues, and it'll make our jobs and lives impossible.
Agreed. I will say, just for my thing, I do not have anything specific to propose this week. I am, however, cooking on something next week for government employees, specifically regarding notebooks. The TLDR is that lawyers really like using their notebooks for privileged information. Do I think that should have carte blanche protection like a phone? No, absolutely not. But I do think I do want to write up something for council consideration. So my request for you all is Obviously, read the MDT. I'll make it a promise to you all here to get what I want to spitball to this council by Thursday. But I would like you all and your respective factions to chew on the issue of what does a notebook mean to a government employee legally versus a civilian, especially when we talk about potential traditionally protected information such as medical information, legal information, et cetera, et cetera. Like I said, it doesn't need to be discussed now, but I do
Notebook
plan
needs to
on
have a
bringing up
different
something
font,
next week, so
I
I would like
think.
that to be on
I
your
hate
radar.
the font in the notebook.
I think that should be a combo discussion with Cantor's healthcare privilege stuff. I think we should probably
Sure,
just
yeah.
define privilege across the different sectors in one document.
Okay, yeah, fuck it, we can go for that.
Because
That's a good idea.
because we've touched on
That's a good
psych, we've
idea.
talked on doctors, we've touched
Yeah.
on lawyers, we've touched on clergy. We should probably make some kind of unifying legislative piece that discusses and evaluates privilege as a whole.
That's a great idea.
Also, I want to note, Miss Treasurer, that not to be lost on anyone here, part of the I will say benefit in passing this legislation, as confirmed with the state earlier with Max and I, is that the outright restriction on budgetary funds being assigned to PD may now be conditionally lifted on the premise that they follow through on incentives and objectives laid out by the investigative panel and the mayor. So, for example, if the investigative panel deems that there should be a further rollout of a more fleshed out command structure, or the selection of a commissioner by such and such date, or hiring goals or activity goals or FTO goals or whatever, the things that you have previously brought to me that I brought to the state, such as the Caracaras, the FTO incentives, things like that, those may be used as the proverbial carrot. So there is some progress on that front.
Okay, good.
Dakota, you have anything to present?
No, sir, not today.
Captains didn't slip anything before this meeting?
They did not.
Cantor.
I do. I have the patient privacy. Obviously, if you want to have this be a larger discussion, Crane, we obviously can. But I do have my proposed concept. It's not too in depth, to be honest. I want this to be simple and easy to understand. The main reason that I want it to be legislation is so that both PD, lawyers, and the patients whose information will be given out are all informed here on exactly the process that it goes through, potentially before being posted on the docket. I also made up this little thing at the end about legally recognized families because I just thought it would be funny to give medical backing to those legislations to encourage people to pay the money for them.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that. I got you.
My full disclosure on this is I did not help Cantor write this at all. However, we've brain picked on HIPAA off and on many times over the months, shall we say, and also every once in a while the hospital does consult with me on various legal matters. That being said, I didn't really have a hand in that legislation, but it makes sense for HIPAA. We shouldn't have a direct copy of HIPAA. I think that caused a lot of headaches under old systems. I think what this is an extremely good baseline that could be modified as things come up in the future.
Essentially, I wanted it to only cover an issue that we actually have here, instead of trying to make up other stuff that maybe isn't as much of an issue. So that's about it there. That, and I just wanted to help encourage people to pay for adoptive family and marriage so that we can get more money in the state account.
Yeah,
I think that's
people
hilarious.
also need to be more mindful of who they list as their emergency contacts too.
That too, I think that
You
this
won't get lists
no,
of
it
like
gives meaning
25
to it.
people.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's an actual purpose behind them instead of just call this fucking giant list of people for me.
I guess I will say, yeah, I think that's more hospital policy. But in relation to, let's say, this legislation, would you, I guess, or the board, would you be discussing like limiting like a max number of emergency contacts, or what would be like that procedure?
We did. I actually, that might be a good idea. We have had in the past a maximum of 5. It's kind of an optional maximum. If people want to contact more than that 5, doctors aren't told not to. But you don't have to contact a fucking laundry list of people. So we could 5 could be good, maybe 5 plus family. So it gives an incentive for that.
I mean, yeah, I think ultimately, it's just more work for you the longer the list is under this legislation.
No, you're
or
not
more,
wrong.
More
Yeah.
chances for someone to get early. So I don't know. I think that's hospital purview.
I think.
But
Do you think 5's a decent number there?
I think 5 is good.
yeah, five sounds like fine to me at least. But I would defer to the hospital as a whole or the board as to what they think is appropriate.
I'm pretty happy with 5. I think it. I think in regards to this, it could even be less. The issue is that emergency contacts are also people that they want contacted, so it serves 2 purposes. I don't want to limit that too hard. It could be a whole separate list, but then no one wants to come down to the hospital and register a bunch of lists of people.
I mean, in theory, you could cater this to be the top 5 names on their emergency contact list, or the top 3, and
I like
that that way they could still have the list as long as they want. But per this legislation,
helps you guys
only the
any.
top X number can sign off on that form.
There you go. How about now? I put one of their first 5 emergency contacts. And
Is that good for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think that sounds great. And then it still gives the freedom for
I could
people
even,
or you all to have
I might
more.
even make it 3 because this is pretty big. It should be like you shouldn't have
I know
a
my notes are in
long
the
list
way,
of
but I
people
can't
that you're willing
really-
to
I don't
have verify your medical information unless you think differently.
Can't
Can I
really
ask a
win
question?
with
So this
the
is supposed to be that
notes.
the emergency contacts can sign even when the individual is incapacitated?
That's
yes.
Wait,
So
is it
give y'all,
is it only when they're incapacitated? Sorry, that's what
So is it able to sign or whatever? So I'm just
yes.
wondering. So this is essentially a limited healthcare durable power of attorney.
Pretty much.
So limited
So
healthcare
to give
DPOA. Okay,
to give
I was just
y'all
wondering.
context, yeah, no, you're good. To give y'all context on why I thought this was necessary, our process in the past was if it is a violent crime, just give it to cops immediately. And we did genuinely run into situations where a patient was injured, then was out and about, and no one even asked them if the cop could get that information. The cop got it and posted it in the docket, and the patient didn't even know. And that is the kind of situation that I want to.
Oh my
Yes,
God.
that is the kind of
What?
situation
That's
that I want to
whack.
assure
Okay.
doesn't happen because
Yeah,
that's a little bit
totally. No,
insane.
100%.
It's kind of a fringe case. It's not the most common, but I think just people should have some level of control over it. So at least if it's an emergency contact, they picked that
Somebody they
person.
trusted, right? No,
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense to
Exactly.
me, 100%. But I guess just make sure that people are aware of what putting someone on the emergency contact list may entail, right?
Yes, that's
That
why
would
I
be
want this
it.
to be, public legislation so people
I love
are
that. I
aware of
literally
how
love
it,
this.
how it works.
I love
Hell
this
yeah, I'm
so
so glad.
much. Yeah, no,
Thank you.
this is great.
Can I? Okay, so
Yeah,
I made
what
a
you
couple
got?
edits.
Okay.
Can y'all look at the city council documents, the police continuity plan? I'm just gonna walk everyone through this real quick. So I've added a couple of just minor phrasings that I think reflect the conversation we had with the captains and the things that I've mentioned that clarify the, I guess, misinformation or assumptions that were made regarding the act. So first, preserving the initial document on behalf of the state. The capacity on behalf of the state was already written there in the first paragraph, talks about checks and balances. The before in blue, I believe, is a great piece of speech writing by Max, but maybe doesn't convey his exact pure intention. So I've tried to recraft the same intent, but with softer language that I think still reflects the outcome. So you can sort of review for yourself the different language there, but I believe it means the same thing ultimately. There's just some softening language to, avoid ruffled feathers. For example, instead of saying this has potential for great abuse of power, potential has all been snuffed out in every other corner of government. I simply said this is intended to snuff out any potential perceived or otherwise corruption or inefficiencies leading to abdication of the roles and responsibilities of the current chain of command. From there, I've added very minor phrasing such as the law enforcement, so the constituency of the law enforcement departments of Los Santos, to reflect the fact that we're not asking for the captain's input, we're asking for the rank and file. The opportunity to petition the mayor's office as an agent of the state, again, to reflect the supremacy there. And then down below, you'll see some of the same language, and I see that Max has already added the sunset clause.
Okay.
Given how this has been phrased, does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? Max, anybody else?
No, I think you legally used it real good.
Yeah, I think this is what was voted on, and yeah, like I said, if any major changes, additions, or subtractions need to be added in the future, you know, that could be done when those votes arise.
Max, thoughts on the blue and green paragraphs?
I read it as you're writing. It looks great.
Okay, I want to make sure I'm capturing your intent. I don't want to edit your thoughts.
No, you did it great.
Okay, I will then save this copy for posterity, so we have a record of how we debated it. I'm going to copy this text, get rid of the blue text, change the green text to white, remove the after, and then remove everything after the sunset clause. And that will be what I put in the high command report for Slacks. Everybody good on that?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and copy the stuff after the sunset clause into my personal notes report. If you guys want to continue throwing on stuff into there. While this is the purview of the mayor's office, I am of course willing to listen to great unbiased ideas.
Yeah. With that being said, derail. I mean, Cantor, are you did you make are you calling for a vote on Pippa, or do you want to cook on it?
If anyone has more questions about it, or if free to let me know. Or anything.
What is the final number you decided on with the emergency contacts? Are you still sitting at 5?
Yeah. Hey, here's my thing. I'm not a pussy. I don't go into the ICU. I'm strong. So I don't really know what people want. I don't know what people would be happy with.
I mean, could you leave it vague that up to an amount determined by the board? I don't know what I'm saying. Like
no, I can set a number. I think maybe 5 is reasonable. But then,
you
you think 5 is reasonable? Okay.
I can't imagine somebody really needing more.
Shady
going,
all
all
the
the
viewers are cute still. Their primary point of contact can reach out to the rest.
Appreciate that.
Worst comes to worst, you call a vote next week to just change the number if you really need to.
Honestly,
right?
yeah, that's true. We can absolutely change that if it's too overbearing. Okay, I think it's a good start. All right.
So are you calling for a vote then?
Yeah.
Yo,
I
Moose,
know.
thank you for the 2
medical
months.
specifics. Y'all probably don't know too much. So, but yeah, if anyone has questions,
I have one more question.
okay.
Is it possible for them to indicate the relationship of the emergency contact? That way, if it was like a boyfriend or a girlfriend and it was all outdated information, you're not calling up an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend or something. You know what I mean?
That
maybe
has happened before,
right? So
yes.
maybe let's
People
indicate
can come in and
relationship.
update it at any time. Yes, we could definitely. So it's usually essentially we just put what information they give us. If they want to say like say for example, if I put Frazier, who's my husband, not legally under the state currently, but will be soon when we can afford it. If I were to put that, I would probably put in brackets that he's my husband. Some people just don't give us that information, but we would be happy to take it if they do, and use that accordingly.
Yeah, like Murphy got shot on the head and we were already divorced and they called me because his emergency contact list was outdated.
Yeah. People do not update theirs a lot. At least if this passes, people might be generally aware that they should. Yeah. Okay. Well, if no one has any more questions, yeah, we can go for a vote.
Aye.
For me, obviously.
Aye.
Any nays?
Yeah, it's probably easier on this one.
Yeah.
It passes unanimously. Good work.
Thank you all.
Hooray.
Okay. I'm going to tag that as approved. I will enact it accordingly.
Okay.
I have delivered the updated version to the PD High Command documents. Slacks is in receipt and is reviewing.
Okay.
Crane, do you have anything in particular you'd like to propose today?
Okay, I have some updates, not necessarily proposals. I figured we could spitball some things. So to start off, I have talked to the operators of the Grime trucks. The result is that the way that the system is set up now, the Pounder and the Packer trucks, which are the like level 2 and 3 trucks, the larger commercial vehicles, they currently are set up to allow PD to inspect the cargo and inspect the contract assigned that the person is working on. Those contracts only display the current contract, right? So if the current contract is, let's say, 600 kilos and the truck has a capacity of 1,000, if they're at 700, then they're exceeding the current contract, but not the capacity of the truck. So the idea was potentially they could do more than one contract. However, after speaking to different folks, both in PD with their results and folks that run Grime, I have found out that most all of the contracts on those larger vehicles are at or very near the limit for the truck itself. This is, as I understand it, working as intended. So although the Grime drivers may be unhappy with this, the apparent intent of the people who operate those vehicles and allow the drivers to utilize them is that they should only be doing one contract at a time. If they do more than one contract at a time and overload the truck, which is in and of itself inevitable by doing more than one contract, they will be in violation. So I am bringing that forward to note to everyone that that should color how we determine what punishment is appropriate for people who go over that weight system, understanding that it literally means that they will need to complete round trips to and from the city to, say, Sandy or Grapeseed or Polito to avoid not being in compliance. So that is one, food for thought. Second item was gun licenses. I have intended to roll them out today. However, I am still working with the folks who regulate the ammunition state-run businesses to ensure that a purchase of a gun can only be made once per week. In addition, there are some further revisions being made to which firearms will be available at ammunition, and I am awaiting confirmation of those developments. So I actually, as I understand it, the purchase of guns from ammunition is currently not permitted. So I will be working with them to understand when those items have been resolved and when gun licenses will roll out. So there have been some concerns raised to me, several items, one of which was, I guess, sort of my own realization that although the guns themselves are stamped with, let's say, issuer IDs, the magazines and the ammo are clearly not. And as such, someone with a gun license could very clearly disseminate magazines and ammo to people who hold illicit guns, assuming they are of the same make and model. So, for example, if you steal a PD Glock or you have one of these tampered Glocks that has no serial, and then a civilian has the capacity to then go to ammunition and buy the equivalent ammo and magazine, there is effectively a conduit by which unlimited magazines and ammunition would be proliferated with no real way of tracking or consequence. So as a result, we are looking at solidifying the type of firearm that can be purchased from ammunition such that we are not coinciding with the same guns the PD use, which will also be helpful on scenes for them to clarify, civilian versus PD firearms.
I was going to literally ask that. Yeah, perfect. Good.
So that's all being worked on. Gun licenses will be slightly delayed. And by that, I mean delayed by a matter of days, not weeks. So there may be something in the middle of the week where the DOJ starts rolling out gun licenses. I'm just making you all aware that that is what's going on.
In the spirit of spitballing, this is in regards to the commercial trucks. I believe in the past we called them commerce checkpoints, but I do believe that the PD should be empowered to set up weigh stations, let's say in designated areas, and obviously that's all up to debate. But like highways, the entrances say blah 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 blah. But I in the past, the legal argument was, well, you have to have a reason to stop someone to detain them.
my presentation to the council is that I believe the very act of driving a commercial vehicle on our roadways, public as they are, funded by the state as they are, should allow spot checks of those vehicles. A PD officer should be able to observe an 18-wheeler rolling down the road, pull them over. Hey, how you doing? Just making sure you're licensed, to be operating this vehicle, which the person can provide the contract information by inspecting, the truck, as well as the cargo, and that will allow for a spot check, which avoids the need for independent RS.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The only thing I would say for consideration is, do we want that just happening anywhere in the city willy nilly, or only in certain circumstances? But I'm fine with obviously the RS concern.
Very disgust.
In a perfect world,
anytime,
I would like it to be highway interdiction because I think that's where the most concern is. However, I don't know if I want to restrict the PD in when they can do the spot checks, because to be honest with you, I can already guess that Matt Rhodes would like to set up a personal spot checking station at the entrance to the Russian docks.
Fair.
I apologize if I missed that in this discussion. Is there a specific penal charge for their trucks being overweight?
And
it is not. Well, this is what we're discussing right now.
Okay.
What I'm saying is I'm giving you the context that you are overweight if you do more than one grime load. How does that color y'all's interpretation of how stiff the penalty should be?
Good.
Why not increase their weight limit?
I have discussed that with the manufacturers, and I was informed that that is working as intended.
Nakota, what do you feel the punishment should be for trucking overweight like that?
I mean, off the top of my head, a charge would be like misuse of a commercial vehicle, obviously. I think the articulation for having too much weight in your vehicle is that it's basically like a battering ram. I mean, they already are. The speed limits was hopefully try to curb people driving too fast. I'll be honest, we still give out plenty of speeding tickets. But I do. I don't know if anyone here has had any similar experience of getting smashed at high speeds by
I have
those 18.
I have.
So there you go. Okay, fair enough. So overweight 18-wheeler, overweight even some of the bigger vans. I mean, it is a vehicle can be considered a deadly weapon if you're packing it to the brim overweight. That is pretty negligent, if I'm going to be honest.
For context, okay, these I've spoken to quite a few people on the street who work for the grime delivery.
Okay.
They make a lot of fucking money. They make a lot of money.
Okay.
So I think a somewhat large but not like unreasonable fine for driving dangerously like that is not entirely unwarranted.
I would agree. The thing that I would request, this is mainly for the lawyer side of things, is I don't think it should be a felony. I don't think driving an overweight truck should preclude you from a business or
Absolutely.
gun
Absolutely.
Oh
license.
no. Sorry, no, I wasn't saying that should be a felony. I'm just I'm thinking out
I
loud
don't.
on that part.
I don't think it should be an arrestable offense.
Oh, sure. Just a
think it
fine.
should be a
It's a moving
citation with that.
infraction.
Now,
Correct.
I got a real crackpot question.
Oh,
here
I did
towards-
have another thing. Fuck. Sorry. I just. I got another thing for legislation. Keep going, Malton. I just remember.
A real crackpot spitball I want to throw out here is if you are overweight driving, is that overweight proceeds of a crime that are going to be seized?
No.
No. Okay.
No, I think we do. Here's my suggestion. How about this? How about we make it roughly equivalent to first-degree speeding, because we all agree that it's dangerous and it needs to be curbed. We set that at what, $1,000?
I think it is 1,000.
So we make it $1,000 fine for driving an overweight grime vehicle, and what we do is we make it 5 points on your license. So that way, if you do it 4 times, your license gets suspended.
Are we?
But
still
there's no
living-
arresting, there's no criminal side of it. It's just, we're reflecting how important commercial vehicles are and how much care you should use when operating them.
What about like 4 points?
4 points. I mean, it's fine. Yeah, I'm just spitballing.
I said, what about people who off
4
road with
points.
their commercial vehicles?
I mean, my wife and I live in on Route 68.
Oh.
So we see a lot of these trucks driving by and stuff. Most of them are well-meaning people. I've spoken to a lot of them. They're going to need time to adjust, and it would be unfortunate for them to lose their driver's license that quickly, right?
Wait, where do you live off 68?
Behind the convenience store.
Do you know what the address is?
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
yeah. Hold on. It is.
It's a trailer.
A
guys.
Harmony.
No. I know, but which one?
It's like Harmony Route 68, 58 or some shit, something like that.
Do you live in the murder trailer?
What?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Because there was a trailer
the
out
one
there.
right by the used car lot across from Harmony Repairs.
No.
There's a couple of them. So there was that one. And there was another murder trailer where there was like people had mocked up like a cell inside, and people were like held in there like human trafficked and shit.
Oh.
Anyway, I'm sure they cleaned it fine. I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't believe in ghosts. That's all.
Bleach solves everything.
I had
Okay,
it
so
renovated. It's nice. Okay, it's
yeah,
not
it should
not
be fine.
murdery.
I'm sure it's okay. So to my actual
I hate that
legislative
shit,
point,
dude.
here
Those
is
people
something I
should
want to
be
propose to the
punished.
council. I didn't write it up because it only came to me the other day, and I was getting feedback from Miss there she is, Miss Mushkin Domino here to my back right. I would like to propose the following. Currently, driver's licenses are not actually removed. They are only suspended. The reason being is that we used to have driving school, which Tessa Lamb ran. And so when someone lost their license, they would go to driving school, get a certificate that said, I passed driving school. And then they would get their license reinstated by going to a judge or a clerk and providing the certificate. I propose the following. When people reach 20 points now, the PD or whoever causes them to go over 20 points should revoke their license. And in order to reinstate their license, even if the points have fallen off, I believe they should go to a clerk, and the clerks should operate a quasi DMV. I think this will allow more engagement for the clerks. This will allow more meaning to having your license revoked. And it will provide more of, should I say, like interactions at City Hall with people who might not otherwise.
So sorry, just so I understand, the license would be revoked within the
Correct.
MDT, but the clerks could obviously reissue that because they're
correct, and there would be a minor fee for reinstatement, something light, $500, something like that. But the purpose would be to allow the clerks to have roles and responsibility that would expand their purview.
I like that.
Yeah, that's fun.
I just have a couple of questions. So is it pretty much guaranteed now we're not doing the commercial licenses? They're just going to go onto the existing
The way that
drivers?
it should work is I think we just create penalties that offer heavy point restrictions.
Okay.
The way I understand it, in order to even operate a grime truck, you have to purchase the right to operate the truck from the contractor.
Okay.
So you pay, I think it's like 25 grand or something to buy the truck. So I think that covers that side of it, and we'll simply have the points reflect the severity of the action, aka the 4 points Max described.
Okay. The other things I was just gonna say is, what if a vehicle's like caught off-roading, not even on the road? Say they're driving, through the Los Santos Freeway, like dirt path that wraps around behind the.
So you want to create like negligent operation of a commercial vehicle?
Yeah,
with
like
a stiffer penalty than negligent driving.
Right. If they start figuring out that if they're overweight on the road, they can be pulled over and cited, and then they try to start obfuscating by going off road to avoid potential being seen.
I don't have a problem with
that. Okay. And then my last thing, and I will be done. I apologize. If we catch someone, if it is identified that somebody's vehicle is overweight, that vehicle is then subject to being searched and having the outstanding weight removed, or
no? The fine and the points are the deterrent and the punishment.
Got it.
The
Okay.
fine.
I don't want to get involved with rank and file cops seizing fucking boxes of goods out of trucks.
I don't necessarily have an issue with that. I just wanted to say it out loud.
Cornwood, you raised your hand.
That shit.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what's that charge going to be called for? Is it overweight driving?
It would be probably unsafe operation of a commercial vehicle, and then the other one would be negligent
good.
operation
Let
of a
him.
commercial vehicle.
Let him fuck
Because the
around and
unsafe
find
would
out
mean
if he
you
can't
knew it
fucking
because
speed
it's in
run his
legislation
runs.
that you can only go to a certain weight and based on your contract. And then the negligent would be maybe it's not spelled out
Because
somewhere,
that shit
but
is the
very,
stupidest
I'll
shit
know
I've
it when I
ever
see it
seen.
from the cops. Which also allows the
Motherfucker
cops to argue
driving
that in
through the
court. So if
desert.
somebody wants to try to come in and say they're a good old boy who can drive an 18-wheeler off-road, then they can come and try to argue that.
Okay. Yeah, I was asking because I didn't want to hear the same damn joke every time I pulled someone over. So thank God it's not overweight driving.
That should never that should have never have been a thing. It should not even be operational off-road.
Dissimilar from how we used to do suspended driver's license and reissuing them with like a past driver's test. Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
It's just DMV.
I do
love
not
that.
care.
No, I love that.
Taking Patrick Assault's job and giving
And besides, I already told you, Mill, if I ever saw
that's great. I
him
think the
teaching
clerks-
Mary
I think
more
the
shit like that,
We trust the clerks
I
to
would
give out
beat
licenses,
the
don't
shit
we?
out
So
of
I
him.
feel like that should absolutely be within their purview. I love this idea.
Okay.
I already threatened his life.
There effectively will be 3 things that I will be working on implementing if there are no nays. That is number 1, the quote unquote unsafe operation of a commercial vehicle, which will be described as the weight limit infraction. Again, this is not a criminal punishment. This is an infraction. It'll be 4 points on their license, meaning they can do it 5 times and have their license revoked. And it'll be $1,000 fine, which is similar to the speeding first degree. The second one charge will be negligent operation of a commercial vehicle. This will be simply negligent driving, which I'll literally just copy paste the definition of, but insert the words commercial vehicle. Same thing will be a $1,000 fine, and we'll call it, I think, probably 2 points for that because it's a little different than the overweight. And then I will institute the legislation surrounding the creation of the DMV powers being assigned to the clerks, which states that police officers are now enabled to revoke a license when the person reaches 20 points. And the reinstatement of that license must occur through a clerk at City Hall for a fee of $500. Anybody need any of that?
Nope.
No, sounds good.
Okay, I will implement accordingly. That was my stuff. Thank you. And then gun licenses and all that, I will keep you guys updated, but again, TBD based on communications with ammunition.
Look, I'm gonna be straight up after that the Mr. K case yesterday. I think it's probably good that we keep guns off the street for just a little bit longer.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that was chaos.
Yeah.
Can I just get 60 seconds?
Yeah, please.
Well, no. I mean to be silent and really think about something. So I just want to make sure no one needs to. Okay.
Well, I'm gonna ask Anna if she has anything to propose.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
Lady Treasurer, do you have anything to
guidelines
propose
later?
to the council meeting today?
Sorry, say it. So one more second. Say, Alex.
Can we go over those guidelines later?
Yes, you and I will go over yep. Okay, I'm gonna work on those. So give me a second to institute those things.
Edda?
I said no,
She
not currently.
yeah, she already answered.
Nothing currently. I'm curious.
That's not true. She does. She has brought stuff to me, but I sort of, as I reflected on earlier, we're working it into the PD oversight initiative. So, Ed has collected requests from a number of PD sources, EMS, regarding the breakdown in overall wear and tear on vehicles. And I don't mean just like normal wear and tear. I mean the overall health of the vehicle over time. I'm not much of a gearhead, but I guess there's some degradation that occurs to where the vehicle can become almost like permanently less efficient or something. I don't know.
The engine has to be replaced, and it has to be replaced through damage and use.
Sure. So she was effectively advocating for the fact that it is hard to distinguish between normal wear and tear and operation of an engine from the PD and negligent operation, and the incentive should be that if the PD is working with us in good faith to improve themselves, we should add the proverbial carrot of maybe helping them with things like that, the overall degradation, and then incentive bonuses such as the Karakara and Scout vehicles and things like that. I assume that'll be coming in the future.
Are these things that the Nakota came to you with, Edda, at some point?
We have discussed them together. Yes.
Do you? Is this? Are these requests written down anywhere for us to read right now?
She
I
has them
have
in the
my
notes.
notes
Yeah.
for treasurer that
Okay.
has been there. Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna take a little peek. I would love to.
And to be fair, I want to say something. I have been the person naysaying her from bringing these things specifically because I was informed prior that we couldn't. Correct.
Yeah.
But now that we have the authorization, as you're aware, Max, from earlier conversation, I think this will allow for some progress.
So that there's it's like a new system. Okay. I am not aware of the particulars of the system. That said, there are. It's essentially going to allow us to autonomously maintain the flow of commerce and budgeteering for every aspect of government, and receiving that power instead of just having flat paycheck wages like issued by the state. It will allow us to incentivize certain activities or things, or like to do whatever we need to do to actually 100% wholesale get funding for government jobs. So until this system is fully in place, and it's probably not going to be for a couple of weeks, we can't actually have a serious discussion on providing funding for the police department, or for example, like something can actually climb a mountain for the medical group. That said, we're working
They
on it.
just need a Sultan RS Classic.
And
Easy.
Right now we can't. Unfortunately, I would love for the EMS to have a fucking helicopter, for example. But you guys know we can't pull the money out. So yeah, in like 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks, depending on how long it takes, there's going to be a framework that the mayor's office can make use of, or it might just be the whole. I think it's just the mayor's office. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chief Justice.
I believe the trigger lies with the mayor's office, but my opinion is that there should be obviously like discussions surrounding it.
Of course. Yeah. So I mean, always for the police department, the LSPD is in dire straits, and certainly money would be good for them to receive. Have you guys, Dakota, have you guys floated the idea of doing like I know that Cantor suggested like a car wash or something for EMS to raise money for potentially purchasing a helicopter? Are you guys working internally on any way of like raising money to purchase the tools that you need to be able to, I don't know, country patrol or whatever you guys are missing right now?
I mean, the vehicles that we have are being test driven. As far as purchasing them, that'll be like, I think a lot of officers' main goals is to purchase them themselves personally. I would say the biggest issues are, and I've spoken to the treasurer about this, is like internal issues with the vehicles, not necessarily like purchasing said vehicles.
Okay, so everyone's more concerned with just getting their own car.
People are concerned getting their own car, but in the immediate, while that is not like feasible for some people based on money, some of our our shared vehicles are like the engines are basically dying in them.
Ooh.
Already? That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
Man, cars are rough around here.
Yeah, when you crash, man, it fucks that engine up.
God damn.
Or you pit.
Yeah, or you
Oh,
pit.
yeah, it's true. Yeah. What's up, Ed?
And repair kits as well. So the
Oh,
repair
really?
kits are
Okay.
taxing on the degradation, and so obviously, if there's no mechanics or they have no parts to be able to repair the cars, then they're forced to use the toolkits, which force the engine to degrade more. And it's gotten to a point where they already need to be replaced less than a month after they were previously.
God
repaired.
damn.
So same with the ambulances.
What's
They're
wrong with the
getting to
air
that
in this
point,
city,
too.
man? Cars last for years everywhere else. What are we doing?
Humane
People got to
Labs.
stop going to Sandy and all that. It's the sandstorms or something. Yeah, Humane Labs,
It's
maybe.
freaking Humane Labs, man. They're
Yeah,
fucking poisoning
maybe.
the water.
God
They're
damn.
crashing their cars.
Okay. So nothing to propose from the lady treasurer. Michael Simone, the big man.
I don't have anything this time around. I think the only thing is the VDM Act.
Oh, is that finalized?
Should
Oh,
be.
yeah, we were talking about
Sick.
it. So.
Yeah, I simplified it, so it should be basically without all the fluff. And again, if we want to go down the path, it can always be extended to not just be work vehicles and include every vehicle on the street.
What was the VDM one again? Sorry, just refresh my memory.
It's just the one that they have.
098.
Yeah, they just
Take a
have to
look.
make sure it's. They're
Oh
taking
yes,
care of
okay.
their vehicles,
Yep,
internals.
okay, gotcha. Yeah. All right. We approved this. We were just getting the final wording. Yeah, okay, I see. that
Yeah, we
there.
like changed how
Gotcha.
it worked a bit.
Gotcha.
I have one thing that all this vehicle discussion got me thinking about, but I can just wait if we're still talking about anything in particular.
Yeah, this seems to fit what we landed on, so no arguments here.
Language, real quick.
Sure.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Chief of Staff, do you have anything to propose?
Not at this time. Suggest?
Yeah, suggest,
Several citizens brought forward to me that they wanted an amendment to the DRIP Act to ban Crocs because they're unhygienic and unsafe.
Ban them.
Yeah, we recommend them around the hospital. Actually, they're quite good for things like that. 'Cause they're
This was for for the hospital for sure, but for it was for grime in Group 6 in particular that they were saying
you know
ban
what?
Crocs.
I might
It's
agree
not
with that.
right. It's not. It's just not safe.
Yeah.
You're carrying things. You could drop it on your feet. That's a loss. That could be a lawsuit. Not sure. Right. I'm just saying, throwing it out there. Yeah, they wanted to ban
Max, get
Crocs
rid
for
of
grime in
Juno
Group 6.
My
this
initial
week.
response is, we probably don't need to ban them, but I think it would be funny
last
to
week,
encourage the cops
Juno
to start finding
screeched at
people
him for
them
10 minutes
and
straight.
Establish that.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
Look, obviously,
Get the money.
I was against the
Beginning of the
DRIP
meeting in
Act,
front of
I
everybody,
saw him in some
so
regard, but in the spirit,
he
of
shut
it,
that shit
I will
down.
say maybe Crocs could be helping build the RS or PC for Fashion Court, and,
Right.
and not outright banned.
Okay, all right, that's absolutely fine, but maybe list them specifically then as an unsafe shoe attire, or whatever the word you want to use
It
for it is.
definitely so the way we did it, we left it slightly ambiguous so that these things could be argued in court.
Oh,
I
yeah,
was
no,
telling
that's
Carrie
absolutely
that
one
last
of those
night. If
things
somebody
that
was
I
doing
think
that
would
to
be
me, I
hilarious
would have
for cops to
Maybe-
fired
right,
them
and that to
immediately.
handle in court.
Even
I
just
think
as an
it's funny as
example,
hell.
Crocs.
Yeah.
I want to see somebody in Fashion Court for wearing Crocs.
I would love to
so
see
bad.
you in fashion court when you're back to doing lawyer stuff. That'd be hilarious.
Oh man, yeah, that'll be.
Yeah, I
hilarious.
thought
Oh,
about
those
reporting
are the
you
days.
several times.
I know. That's why I ran away from you.
Well, I was gonna say her
That's why I
defending
ran.
someone,
Well,
but
look,
I ran
ma'am,
away.
when I'm the Chief Justice and I can tell you what color your underwear is, you might be DRIP violation.
Literally, I was
You
not.
checking my wife out, dog?
Incorrect. Your wife presented her underwear in a manner that anyone with eyeballs could see.
Oh my god.
Look, okay, he's an older guy. I get it. Maybe
It's an observation.
Kneeling skirts, Pep.
Hell,
Are you
even
fingertip
thigh.
testing me? What is this, Catholic school?
We're back in Catholic school right now.
This
Are
is
we
not.
back in
No,
Catholic
no,
school?
no. That didn't. What you're wearing did not qualify as a skirt.
No,
Oh,
Crane,
no.
Crane, I was literally at the VU right then. I was not planning on being.
I know, which
running
is
by
why I
City
didn't
Hall.
say shit about
Thank
it.
you, thank you. Listen, I understand that it was inappropriate and I should not have been dressed in that manner, but I appreciate that. I also ran away from you because I knew what could come my way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe your words were sorry for putting that in your face. Apologies.
That's what my words were.
Oh,
Yeah.
Whoa.
All right. Let's move on.
Okay. Unsafe operation of a wide load. Commercial
Wow.
delivery. Hey, anyway, though, right? Commercial delivery vehicles operate under grime contact, and other delivery firms must abide by the contractually obligated weight limits set for both the individual deliveries and the truck itself. Police are empowered by way of this charge to spot check any commercial delivery vehicle with proper driver's license, contract weight, and overall trailer weight. Violation of the contract and/or trailer weight will result in an issuance of this infraction. No independent reasonable suspicion is required to spot check a commercial delivery vehicle by PD. 0 time, 1,000 fine, 4 points.
Sounds good.
Okay, I'm now going to
Perfect.
copy paste the negligent one, and then I'll create the DMV.
You raise your hand. I see that.
No! Oh no, we're having that problem again.
What?
Oh.
Shit.
Are you hearing yourself talk? I think I heard myself talk just now.
No, it's not that.
It's MD2.
Quick,
I
save it on
can't-
a Word document, Crane. Quick.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, are you unable to open it or?
No, there's a thing that's happening lately where when you save a charge or you edit charges for incidences for criminals, it says blah 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 must reach certain constraints, and it's not functioning properly.
Oh. cringe.
Hmm.
I have a couple of things that were brought to me. I've been doing late night town halls. Some suggestions from the people of Los Santos. Some of these are things that I will suggest directly to the Fed. They're in my notes document if you guys want to take a peek at or guess at what any of those might be. The most interesting one, and the one that makes the most sense to me, was wait, hold on.
What's that report number? Just so I could pull it up, Mayor.
1933.
Thank you.
Yeah, be aware that literally sometimes I'm just writing the words that people are saying out loud as they're saying
it's like
them.
taking a statement.
Yeah. So I'm just I'm trying to
It's people overdoing it on their runs.
essentially convert their request into something that's an actual realistic request.
Keep accepting contracts.
First and foremost, and something that I meant to propose
vehicle, like,
even in the first
start
council meeting
grinding
was
against it. It's really weird.
making Los
I don't know
Santos a
why it
stop and
works
go
like
state.
that.
Green equals go, red light equals stop. Siobhan, you were there. Okay.
Red lights are stop signs, green is go. So it's red lights would be treated as a four-way intersection as a stop sign, kind of like when the lights are out, you're supposed to treat it as a stop sign, right? Except
Like
green is
most
still
people
go.
do already.
Yeah, like most people do already, right?
Right.
Exactly. But you're still required
Yeah.
to come to a full and complete stop to check it out on a red. No California rule, no cop, no stop shit, right? You're still required to stop. But
And
then you may
Okay.
proceed.
A doctor suggested this to me because he said that the majority of people he treats are vehicle accident victims.
Yes, that is very true.
And he framed this in a very clever way to me. He said raising the speed limit has actually inspired people to actually drive the speed limit, which creates a general expectation of like how fast, generally speaking, and obviously some people speed above that, but the general expectation is that if you see a car moving through Legion Square, it's probably going about 65, 70.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay,
Ray.
well, this is a great idea. What do you guys think about a stop and go state?
I like it in theory, but also this negates a lot of ability for officers to do their job and also collect fines for the save
that
count
was-
and everything. There's a lot of things.
So that was my immediate reaction, but then I thought about it for another second. If they blow the red light, they blow the red light, right? They're not stopping.
I guess so. Yeah,
regardless.
yeah.
Yep.
The only thing I would say is someone stops at a red light, they think they have the right of way and they go, but someone has the green and then they crash.
No,
They've
it doesn't
technically
reset the
done
weight.
their due
No.
diligence as far as
It
stopping
just
at
adds
the
on
red.
to the
The
weight
other
in the
person's
truck.
abiding by their own stop signal, and then there's an accident.
So if there's people just
would,
doing that
I
shit
mean,
for an hour, it'll start grinding
I would say
against the
that's
suspension and
negligent
whatnot.
driving. Then they didn't make sure the intersection
Yeah.
was clear. Like they
Okay.
went when they weren't supposed to.
Okay. I mean, I'm
Yeah, I
again,
like it.
I'm just proposing that, and I am happy to hear feedback because I personally, off the rip, I have no issue with that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. No, as
Yeah,
long
I don't
as
have an
it's-
issue with it.
Yeah, I like it.
So we can't make new documents in the MDT right now?
You can make documents. I can't make charges.
Oh shit. Okay.
Whatever
So-
you're doing, put it in. We can do the normal process. Just I
Yeah.
can't make charges.
So later tonight, I'm going to fully write up what this would look like. Just fucking stop calling me, Jesus Christ. And it's essentially going to read, hey, four-way intersections are four-way stops now.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I don't even think the wording of the charge, failure to obey traffic control devices, needs to be changed, because it says does not obey a sign or signal defined as regulatory. So if we just make an announcement via legislation that we're stop and go state now, then the charge can remain the same essentially.
Yeah, like
Correct.
Dakota explained, they'd still be violating it if they go straight through it, so it doesn't change
Same
anything.
on failure to stop.
Yeah, that's what I was
Okay.
gonna say.
Literally neither has to
Siobhan.
change. Yeah.
Because
yeah,
99
which one
action
would you do, I guess?
failure to stop is what I usually give
Failure to
somebody
stop,
if they
yeah.
go through it, because it specifically references the red
Okay.
light.
Yeah, there you go.
Cool. All right. Well, that's gonna be on my to-do list.
Hey, there's actual treason happening.
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw
Slack,
that.
Slack sent me the
What?
fucking Oh my god.
Hey,
Vivek.
really?
Yeah,
Vivek
Oh
twatted.
no.
I am no longer under the jurisdiction of Los Santos. I'm starting something new. Who's interested?
Oh.
And then tweeted, "Can we make our own city?" And then tweeted, "I am creating a joke new nation. Keep going straight past Senor Bun's end of the hallway. No rules here."
Okay, so it's not in
He's
Sandy
asking
Shores this
Slacks if he
time.
wants to be the head of
thank God.
Secretary of Defense for Snowflake Shores.
Hold on, they're talking a little bit.
What?
Okay, that
yeah,
does sound like it's in Sandy Shores, actually.
Another suggestion made to me, and let me just reference the actual chart. Possession of a tampered firearm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually was considering bringing that up. What were you thinking?
I think 15,000 is a bit too steep.
I agree.
When considering other firearm charges.
Yeah, because okay, so I'll just say it off straight off. The reason why this is much higher than the other is because the tampered firearm is in and of itself tampered with and untraceable, which is why we want to deter people from obtaining them.
The problem
My
with tampered
concern-
firearms is that there's no trace to previous scene.
No, that's
So
that's
there's no
understandable, yeah.
serial. So someone could use a gun, kill people for 3 weeks, get
Yeah.
caught with it, and then there's no consequence because you can't tie them to
Yeah,
the
it's a
previous
ghost
scene.
gun basically.
Yeah,
So
I can see what you mean.
hold on. You've confirmed that when you shoot these. Sorry for talking. Over
There's
No,
no
it's okay. Go for
ballistics
it.
on these
Go for it.
guns?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
That's
so when
pretty crazy.
No.
when these-
Let me clarify how it works. So when you shoot a gun, the projectile and the casing have identifiers on them. Those identifiers lead you back to the serial and the identifier of the firearm. The tampered firearm has no serial or identifier on it. Therefore, there is no gun to trace the bullets back to.
I'm confused. Can you
Wow.
just shoot the gun?
Yeah, shoot the
at
gun again.
range? Yeah,
I
like,
think
do
it's
a
really
firearm
funny.
test.
No, that doesn't work.
This does sound like a raid
They're
complaint, and
basically
I'm not
tampered with
surprised
to
it's
the
a raid
degree where
complaint.
what would normally make the casing come back to that gun just doesn't exist.
I see.
The gun is shot in
Yeah.
a way that comes out clean and cannot be traced ever. Doesn't matter if you shoot it or somebody else shoot it. The gun is modified in a way that it will
That's
never be
crazy.
traceable.
Okay.
Correct.
These are rare though. I think.
Yeah, that was the
rare.
intent to make them
That
the
being
penalty
said,
high.
I agree with the fine if they're untraceable.
Yeah.
They
No,
are
I would
untraceable.
agree to that. My initial thing that I was going to bring up is just the worry that it would incentivize robbing civilians.
That was my concern. But
That is
Yeah.
always
So
look.
much
No
less,
matter
but,
no matter
yeah,
what,
no, that's fair.
it is always going to be the case that civilians are going to be targeted
Yeah.
for firearms. This has always been the reality. So what we are going to do, or at least what I have begun to do, is specifically the following. We are making sure that only certain types of firearms will be sold by ammunition, so they are distinct from the tampered guns and the PD guns, both in ammunition type, so caliber, as well as gun appearance. In addition to that, all civilian issued firearms are stamped with the issuer ID, aka the state ID of the person who buys it. There will be a limit on how often you can purchase a gun from ammunition. That'll be like once a week or something like that. So the reality is that if these guns are stolen and are reported, the person who has the incentive to disseminate guns in a surreptitious way will have to choose between their own self-defense and arming someone else. On top of that, there are already factors in place that will deter the behavior, such as being responsible if it's not fully documented and reported. And, let's be real here. If someone is a serial, gun loser, their license may be revoked by the DOJ.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
PD have certain qualifications as to why they can revoke a gun license. The DOJ has carte blanche on that. So there are checks and balances to ensure that this won't be abused. In terms of the possession of a criminal firearm class 1, what is it currently set at?
30 months, $3,500 fine.
I think it was. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, no,
if that needs to be
yeah.
adjusted, we can consider that.
Mhm.
We'll just see how rampant the issue is.
Yeah, now that the tampered gun thing has been explained, I honestly agree. That was what I wanted to bring up initially, so I thought it still would, but no, fine with me.
Did someone approach you about that, Mr. Mayor, asking about the fine for a tampered firearm?
Yeah, right in City Hall.
You know who it was?
It's gonna be where is it? Ray Romanov.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
I
Yeah.
might have to rephrase my statement because I was using information from 5 years ago, and that might not be correct.
Has that been changed? 'Cause I was operating on the same.
I don't. I am kind of unsure because
Okay,
my
because
assumption is.
Are you talking
I
about
think
the
we're
firearm
we're talking
tracing?
about the same thing here,
ballistics.
Michael. I think what Michael and I are both saying is that if PD were to take the gun and to shoot it in their ballistics lab, they would not be able to identify the imperceptible differences between the bullets fired and the casings, such that they'd be able to match them to an independent scene without the
Right.
serial
Yeah.
on the gun. However, some officers might think they could do so. So I think Michael and I need to confirm the difference between belief and reality. Is that correct, Michael?
That is correct.
Okay.
Makes perfect sense.
If you have to run that up a certain
up,
chain,
Willow?
that's fine. I believe that was actually
Mhm.
communicated in a meeting at PD after one was recovered, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll just some of my thoughts. If these guns can have ballistics run on them, maybe we consider dropping the fine. But
correct.
If
Okay.
if they're ghost guns, I think it's fine as is.
Yeah,
No,
agree.
agreed. Yeah,
agreed.
absolutely.
I have other notes here. Scrolling. It's really chaotic in this list. Oh, actually, what do you guys think about people charged with misuse of rental vehicle being unable to
First
rent
hour was
vehicles?
We talked about it last
Hell.
time, but we wanted
timer
to
is
find out
off.
if the money went into the state account, which it does.
By an hour and
so
20
do we want to
minutes.
keep just farming that money from the people who will use them?
Honestly, Nakota, I feel like I feel like I probably asked you this after we spoke about it last time. How much of an issue is it to this day, these rental vehicles being used in crime?
I would say it's
This was the
getting
first hour.
Less.
This was the
and
first hour.
less. People are more. I think, especially with the introduction of the VAF point system that we pushed last week, people are much more. I'm seeing a lot more flagged vehicles that are stolen. People are stealing vehicles if they're using them in the commission of crime. Sometimes people still use them, use the rentals. As far as I'll be honest, I think we could just keep allowing them to use the rental spot for income to the state, because it also helps us identify people on certain scenes as well if they're dumb enough to
Very
use their own
true.
personal
'Cause
rental.
it comes through their bank account.
Because that's
yeah.
what we were all waiting for, was to see if it went to the state, and I confirmed that it did.
Yeah.
Those cars are also usually worse, so it's probably easier for y'all.
Okay. No particular change required then there. I believe that is all of my notes. I am going to be invoking my right to advocate for the pardon of Mr. K in regards to last night's court case. I am letting all of you know now, if you are impartial, we can organize the actual hearing via email chain or whatever.
Okay. I'm
I'd
still
like to see it.
available for that one. I don't know anything about it.
I'd like to see it happen within the week, or sorry, not within the week, within the next week. So this Monday all the way to Sunday or whatever.
To confirm, you're talking about specifically that possession charge that he lost the appeal on.
That whole incident.
Okay.
And we let's try to get a. God, look, just if you're available for it, just post your availability. Okay. Good. You guys are aware of that. Excellent. I think we're done, guys.
Could I say one thing before we go? I know this is something that came up in the back of my mind while we were talking about vehicles.
Sure.
People having upgrades stolen from their vehicle.
Sure.
Turbos specifically, it seems like. I've heard several instances where people are literally being taken at gunpoint to mechanic shops to have them removed.
I've heard this too.
That's
Somebody,
crazy.
Xavier got his car stolen from City
Max?
Hall.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's a little concerning on multiple levels, but I was also curious if so right now the only charge we have is either, a robbery charge or a tampering charge. I mean, if someone gets taken at gunpoint, obviously it's kidnapping and brought somewhere, right? I'm more referring to the stealing of the $10,000 to $15,000 turbo that's in the vehicle.
It's grand theft.
Okay. I was also wondering if there was any way, anyone in this room could speak to an individual or manufacturer of said turbos to get serial numbers installed to them, because right now they're almost impossible to trace as far as I'm aware.
It's aggravated petty robbery.
Crane, I'm gonna give you an example that happened. Xavier had his car parked in the parking garage back here behind the city hall. He went out, his car was missing, been stolen. He went to Mosley's, a mechanic had taken the turbo out and just left the car behind. So there was no weapon or anything like that, and they didn't intend to deprive him permanently. It's just grand theft, and that is a $500 in 5 months.
Yeah. For a $10,000 to
Okay, but you can
$15,000
also
piece of equipment.
But hold on, just so we're clear, you're talking about the reality of someone getting caught for this crime, correct? And how they would be punished.
You know how we required at one point in time tow workers to take a picture of the illegally parked vehicle? What if mechanics just require proof of ownership to perform work like that?
Well, aren't they being held at gunpoint anyway?
It's not gonna work either.
Not always, to my understanding, but I'm sure there are incidences where they are.
Okay, so here's my point. If we're talking about how to address the problem, I don't think the criminal charge is necessarily the prime recourse here, especially when property is stolen from one person to another, because the recourse would be the civil action. So if someone is caught and they're in a position to be charged with something, whether it's grand theft, aggravated petty robbery, extortion, whatever the charge is deemed to be made by the PD, kidnapping, whatever, right? That's inconsequential to me, because the recourse would be, once the person is caught and charged for stealing your turbo or whatever, then you sue them.
I think the problem right now is the record keeping as far as those upgrades are, is that there's no way to trace them as far
Right.
as I know. If they can't prove that they had those turbos because there's no way to trace the purchase, or there's no serial numbers. So that's a whole other issue.
There's two things. One, we cannot fix it on the Mosley's or mechanic side of things, because anyone can be a mechanic, anyone can do it. You can have your friend do it. There's no way that we can enforce any sort of documentation. I think serializing is a way, but I think we're going down a route of, if that's the case, we should just serialize anything that can be stolen. Also, yes, people can lockpick your vehicle, but to put it bluntly, buy a more expensive car with better security. I think it's an issue for PD in itself, because I tested that with Swartz. I lockpicked their car and I lockpicked their ignition in less than 30 seconds. But for other people, you're driving around in a shit bucket that I can lockpick and putting a 99 turbo in it. That is
I have a question.
a questionable decision in the first place. People are expecting these turbos to make a big difference, and they don't really.
They really don't. They really
for some
kinda don't.
vehicles, for some vehicles they do, but not all. And I just think it's because people just leave them in there, and then again, it's a shit bucket you're driving around, because the second you get to a certain
big question
price range, the security system in
big
the
question,
vehicles
because
are
I keep getting asked about
far
it.
greater than any thief is able to defeat. So
Along that same vein, Michael, how easy are CVPIs to get into?
too easy. I have not lockpicked anything, and I got into a CVPI, and I got into the ignition in, like I said, 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Because
so,
if we're expecting CVPIs to be able to keep up with these and get people putting, turbos in those, then I mean, people will just start loot boxing CVPIs. So,
Alex?
So this is like very, very related to this sort of topic, because I've been getting a lot of questions about the asset vehicle forfeiture thing. A common thing that is happening is people asking to like test drive their vehicles or somebody's vehicle, and then like they get their stuff stolen, but they also still have access to that car. Like, how do they avoid getting a strike from that?
I shouldn't give them the vehicle, probably.
Yeah, I would not let random
Yeah.
people test drive my vehicle, if I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
it sounds
they
like they
say
better
in
be
the
careful.
passenger seat during the test drive. Like, I don't know.
That
guess
the
if they
issue is
can-
that you hand them the keys, but you can't take the keys away.
Yeah, Cornwall, you're a cop. What's your perspective? Or you are still?
Well, I've spent on my own. I've spent somewhat near 30 to 35 hours individually testing all the vehicles, CVPIs, different turbos, and observing how the mechanic
just wanted
job
to make
works
sure.
over at Mosley's. So I have a hell of a lot of experience with all this. And Etta actually hit the nail on the head with probably the biggest piece of insight that I've heard about this thing. So I've recently, just in case y'all weren't aware, I'd been doing my research, my own research on turbos and whatnot, and I got a bunch of 99 millimeter turbos. I spent my entire damn life savings on that shit, and I put them in all the CVPIs. And I put them all in the CVPIs, and I was taking inventory now that we're getting some new vehicles and whatnot. And I noticed 2 of them had been stolen. So I went and I did a little bit of exploration investigation, and I believe that somebody had come and taken an 88 millimeter turbo and a 99 millimeter turbo out of 2 CVPIs from underneath the work bay while their cars were getting repaired. So because of this, I went ahead and pulled all the turbos out of the CVPIs because I was worried about them getting stolen until hopefully maybe we could talk to the state or something and get security alarms attached to turbos being removed by somebody who didn't have some kind of special badge or some shit. Maybe we have a PD mechanic hired. I have a few mechanics that I trust with every damn ounce of my being, that maybe we could have them clock in on duty for the police department and have them individually remove the turbos. Now, if a turbo gets removed and you're not clocked in, then an alarm goes off on the CVPI. And again, I took them all out as a security issue because shit, you take a 99 out, those go market value about 15,000 right now, 15 to 20. So you take one of them out and then you give it to like a Dominator or some shit, and that shit's going 200 miles an hour, and then our CVPIs are going about 110 max.
Why not just pull your gun out and then shoot whoever tries to steal your turbo?
I mean, we'd be skipping to the maximum level of force there, and because of how our force matrix works, that wouldn't be appropriate in our SOP.
Do you know? I'm assuming that you don't know they're snagging the turbo while it's being repaired, right? Like, this is just what you find after the fact.
Yeah, they go in from underneath. So there's an area underneath Mosley's where they can actually go down the stairs. And I know because I tested this shit myself, because that's how I do things. And you could just reach up in there and just pop that turbo out from the bottom. So it's actually I think most people don't know about this because I think it would be an egregious amount of turbo thefts going on, more so than what we have now, if more people found out about it. So
two things, Cornwood. When you talk, we seem to be able to hear ourselves.
Oh God, thank God it's not just me.
Also, I think
shit,
if you can
cock and balls.
If you can pop out a fucking turbo from below the car, you are a master mechanic. Holy shit.
Well, I mean, the thing is, there ain't that much space. So I mean, you could just crawl up in there and reach it.
Well, normally a turbo is placed on top of a engine bay-ish, not below.
I am not a car guy, admittingly, but is there a visual indicator on the car that a turbo is installed? Okay.
Nope.
would something that might be sent on for feasibility is not like a visual indicator, but could there be like similar to like an alarm when something is removed, like the car alarm going off when a turbo is removed? That way, at least from an auditory level, if your car alarm goes off, people know like, hey, wait a second, that this mechanic might be doing some fuck shit with my car.
I feel like we're kind of deviating from our original point, which
Yeah.
was Nakota. Were you going to suggest a new sort of charge for this sort of crime?
Well, I think there should be. I know that the Chief Justice suggested some other crimes, but I think if it's so easy to take them out, it's
Yeah.
almost like
It's
you
power gaming,
slink out with it. It seems like for a lot of
essentially.
these, and people have no idea until well after the fact.
Yeah, sure.
And financially speaking, there's no charge right now that is like on par with stealing a turbo that is like at minimum worth $10,000.
I mean, it's easily one of the biggest crimes in the city, and it's one of the easiest.
Can we just get like a does Mosley's include your guys' normal patrol usually? Like is that something that you guys stop by deliberately on patrol?
I mean, yeah, we're in the south side. The issue is Cornwood, how long did you say it takes someone to take a turbo out at a mechanic shop?
If I was a devious individual, here's what I would do.
Yep.
I'd ask people if I could borrow their car, or I would lockpick it right quick, and I would have somebody else down underneath at Mosley's when nobody's looking. And it's very easy to do this when you ain't looking. And look, there's a whole bunch of different types of engines out there. Some people got their turbos on the bottom, some people got their turbos on the top and whatnot. But you just go, you rip that car in, you get in there, you pull that shit out, and you get going, and you just take it right back. You drive it right back, you park it in the same spot. Nobody would ever know that it's stolen.
So how many seconds though would you say if you were like pit crewing it for a NASCAR race? How long
If you're
would it take you to
if
take
you're
the
pit
turbo out?
crewing it, you're looking at probably maybe 3 seconds.
Yeah, I feel like time-wise, if it takes less than 5 seconds to take a turbo out of a car, it's going to be a little bit harder to respond to because the owner's probably not going to realize it until 10 minutes later.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Maybe this is. I feel like there should be something, but I feel like maybe I'll work on something more concrete, and then I'll just look at some of the other existing charges to see financially what lines up with a charge like that.
Also, Cornwood, I think if you are somehow a mechanic that can remove a turbo from below the car from that position, then again, I think you have different issues. Honestly,
no, hell, I agree with you, Mr. Simone. But just truthfully, there's some really damn good mechanics in this city, and some people don't realize how good of a mechanic they are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that so it's just one of them things that it's real hard to find out how good of a mechanic somebody really is.
Yeah, unfortunately, we all don't live by the rule of just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Oh yeah.
Hell, that's why we got criminals. Absolutely, at 100%.
Okay. I personally do not think that an additional charge is required for the theft of this particular thing. For two reasons. One, what's it called? Like, is it petty theft or petty robbery? It'd be petty theft or theft, right?
Grand theft is what he was
Grand
saying.
theft.
Yeah,
Grand
grand
theft.
Some combination or choice
yeah.
thereof of extortion, grand theft, aggravated petty robbery.
Is grand theft a felony?
It is.
Should be. Yeah.
So what we can do here is we've got the Ego Act. So if someone is continually going into Mosley's to steal those, you hit them with the Ego Act if they get caught enough times doing it. So
if that's viable, then okay. I have no
targeting turbo owners, Dakota. It's a group.
Well, they're targeting people who own turbos, but more specifically, they're stealing them at Mosley's.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
Anything else, guys? Sick. Well, this is our shortest meeting yet. I thought this would be our longest one.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. I can go watch wrestling.
It's because I don't have anything.
I gotta say one more thing.
Yeah.
I want to make y'all aware of something.
Yeah.
I have empowered one of my judges to use their discretion and outright deny an expungement. Bobby Charles came in requesting an expungement today while simultaneously supporting Vivek's treason on Twitter, so he was summarily denied.
He also doesn't have the money for it because he called me earlier this morning asking for $50,000 because he's
Oh, boy.
$50,000 short.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, he's summarily denied.
I'm so sorry. I had a tumultuous.
Bobby Charles came in for an expungement. I empowered my judge to exercise his discretion and deny the expungement because Bobby Charles was in the middle of advocating for treason on Twitter while asking for an expungement.
I don't know.
Oh,
Go ahead, Beast Knuckles. Where do you want the
this
interview
guy's.
to be done?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So just a heads up, that has been authorized.
All right. Well,
Awesome.
good meeting. If I have offended any of you in my look, I allow me to apologize for a moment. I'm a passionate man. I feel very strongly about a lot of things. Sometimes in my passion, I resort and revert to a base level
Time.
of
Well,
not
I'm gonna
articulating
call it
myself in
time.
a very eloquent or respectable way.
Okay. I'll keep the timer going.
I have been truthful with all of you guys to the best of my abilities, and I will continue to do so. And even if I am screaming or I'm yelling, I'm not angry at you. Okay. And I want you to know that I'm looking forward always to these meetings every week and to continue building the legacy that we are building right now.
Hell yeah. I know I gave you shit for it, but I don't intend to have that change any of my opinions and
No, I
anything
think
you
it's
bring forward in the future. I hope you
250.
know. So
I don't think
one-off
it's.
situation.
Is it the 3?
Sick.
Oh, yeah,
Good.
no, it is.
I love all of you.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Team.
Get some shoes, you